It is a beautiful night for football at Peoria Stadium with a little postseason flavor as the Bloomington Purple Raiders have come to town to face the Peoria Lions. There you get a look at the Purple Raiders and Lions getting ready to go. As we mentioned, a little postseason flavor to this one at Peoria Stadium as we welcome you inside Peoria's historic venue. I'm Joey Wright alongside John Camosa. And John, as we talk about the postseason, it is the Big 12 tournament as we enter the latter half of the season. The Big 12 has moved to a tournament style of play. This first round matchup is going to be a little tough for the Purple Raiders. It's 1-2 with something to prove, meeting 3-0 with an asterisk.
Yeah, and it's no surprise that Peoria has the top seed in this tournament coming in, Joey. Such a high-powered offense and defense. It's a team that, if you don't stop them early, they're going to run up the score on you. So Bloomington's definitely going to have their hands full. You know, 2 tough losses on the year, playing a really good Quincy Notre Dame team in Normal West, and just earning that win last week against Normal Community. So we'll see what they can do coming in at Peoria High. You know, repeating history, you know, through the years, running up those scores, and he put 62 on the board against Notre Dame, 70 against Richwoods, that forfeit win over Manual. So coming in 3-0, looking really solid, Joey.
Peoria, as we said, 3-0 with an asterisk. Bloomington 1-2, and you get a look at what these teams have done on your screen, as John just hinted at a moment ago. We'll pause quickly for the anthem, though. Back after this. Tell you what, John, they pulled the rug out from underneath us. No PA mic here tonight, so the national anthem got right underway. But as we were talking about the schedules to this point, Peoria enters this one 3-0 on paper, 2-1 in practice. They notched wins against Peoria, Notre Dame, and Richwoods in the games that they played. They lost at East St. Louis 69-19 in week 2, but that was an exhibition game. They were originally supposed to play Manual. Manual was unable to play due to COVID-19 protocols, so they got credit for the win against the Rams when in reality they went down to East St. Louis and played a tough one against a very good team there.
Yeah, you know, a state-ranked team in East St. Louis, and obviously, you know, a lopsided game for Peoria High, but, you know, learn a lot of things from that game that they're going to probably show on the field tonight, Joey. And Bloomington, you know, you don't want to count them out. 8th seed coming into the Big 12 tournament, but they don't really give up in these games. You know, they're always fighting, and talk to Scott Godfrey, their head coach. It's a team they're not going to back down whether they're down 30-0 or whether they're up 30-0. It's a team that keeps playing hard, and expect them to come out and fight tonight.
And they will have to fight as you see the Lions making their first appearance on the field. Lions in the sharp black and maroon uniforms, those chrome helmets, they're going to look sharp under the lights at Peoria Stadium tonight. And as you said, John, that's a Peoria team that's not going to let its foot off the gas in spite of how hard Bloomington may play. We'll get a look at our coaching matchup. It's going to be Scott Godfrey for Bloomington and Tim Thornton for Peoria. John, it's well documented around these parts how Peoria likes to play. As we've mentioned, they'll run that score up. They don't really apologize for how they play either. Scott Godfrey told us before the game he's going to have his team control the tempo tonight. That's going to be our big key for Bloomington.
Yeah, I touched on that earlier, and you know, if you don't make a stop early and you let Peoria High score for us, and then they, you know, add another, it's a situation you don't want to be in, because once they score, they're just going to keep piling it on, and their defense is good. Bloomington's got a chance to kind of keep the game close early, but we'll see what they can do ultimately.
Pace will be a big component of this game as we are just a moment away from kickoff here at Peoria Public Schools Stadium. Again, Joey Wright alongside John Camosa, and we'll introduce you to our whole team. John Michael, Francisco Alonso, and Matt Harrington, along with Larry Larson, on site here tonight. They conducted the coin toss just after the senior night festivities concluded here. That happened just moments before we went on the air. And it looks like that Bloomington will kick things off to Peoria to get things underway. Back to return Isaiah Hazlitt and Eddie Clark. And John, real quick, key players for both teams, Hazlitt and Eddie Clark, are going to be guys that we're watching for Peoria.
Yeah, they definitely are, and you got to throw Darius Beckham into that mix, starting quarterback, 6'4", a really good frame on him, and kind of has shades of Karan Taylor moving with that ball. And I think it's going to be a really good game, and there's, like you said, those three players are definitely ones that stick out for the Lions tonight.
They certainly are. Bloomington ready to kick things off. Pop some popcorn, crack a cold beverage of your choice, sit back and relax. Clutch Sports Media has you covered for the next 2 hours or so. As we mentioned, it's Hazlitt and Clark back deep to return. One of them will get a chance, and it will be Clark. Eddie Clark fields the kickoff just inside the end zone, and Bloomington right there to make the early stop. John, that's just about the best start Bloomington could have hoped for. Peoria is going to have a long field ahead of it as they start their first drive of the night.
Certainly are, and you got to feel good on the Bloomington side, making that stop, keeping them behind the 20. See if that defense can step up here on this first possession.
Keep an eye defensively for Bloomington on the star, number 51, Tyus Jackson. On the defensive line, he can pose a lot of problems for an offense. First play of the game is a handoff up the middle. Not a whole lot of space for Eddie Clark. He's brought down after a short gain. And, John, we're getting our first look at that no-huddle Peoria offense.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's crucial for Bloomington. Coach Scott Godfrey is making sure that offense and defense, keeps that energy up, because it's a team that's going to keep running it. There's really no stopping in their offense, so you got to buckle in.
Second play from scrimmage is another short gain from Clark. Clark, the 5'10 junior, lined up in the backfield with Darius Beckham. Beckham, you mentioned a moment ago, an explosive quarterback. We'll see if he gets his first look here. First down and 10, and space up the outside. And right on cue, Darius Beckham with another first down for the Lions.
That's what makes them so dangerous. You look at their backs, but then you also have Beckham who can, like we just saw right there, fake a handoff and take it himself. And a lot of weapons on this team, Joey, not to mention we haven't seen him air it out yet.
We'll see when the Lions elect to pass it for the first time. But, John, the way this run game looks, might be a while. Fourth play from scrimmage is a handoff to Clark. Clark looking for space, and that's a good stand for the Bloomington front four.
Touch on one thing, too, Joey, is throughout the last couple seasons under Coach Tim Thornton, they really pride themselves on that offensive line. We see early on they're getting those nice blocks and really creating some holes for the Lions to run through.
Aaron Alonzo, Darius Thomas, a couple of key guys up front for the Lions, but that offensive line so deep across the board. Second down and 9 coming up. Option play, keeper for Beckham. Beckham with space, only the end zone in front of him. And just a couple of plays into the game, Peoria strikes first.
And Joey, the way they're running the ball early on, we might see a lot of that tonight. Might see a lot of different guys in the end zone for the Lions. What a start there.
Add 6 quickly for the Lions. It's Darius Beckham, the 6'4 senior quarterback who you compared favorably to Karan Taylor. What a player Karan Taylor was in his day and now at Illinois. And we are going to see the Lions go for 2. Don't be alarmed watching at home. They're going to do this after every touchdown. Mentioned they don't like to apologize. That includes a lot of 2-point conversions and a lot of onside kicks. Up the middle they go, and Bloomington with a big stand. Big stop there. Credit Drake McCarthy on the stop. Keeps the Lions to just 6, but a big explosive start for the Lions.
Yeah, we'll see how Bloomington can counter that. Great run there from Beckham and see if they can get on the board. Like I said, if Bloomington's not going back and forth with Peoria High, could be a long game for the Purple Raiders.
It's going to be a key possession here as you hear the Peoria pep band behind us. A great atmosphere here at Peoria Stadium. Historic venue. Bloomington and Peoria met for the first time in 1894. Peoria Stadium opened as a 1-mile oval for horse racing in 1895. So this series predates Peoria Stadium, but a historic matchup and a historic venue tonight. And John, as Bloomington prepares for its first possession, say that with a grain of salt because this possession's not guaranteed. We're going to see Peoria onside kick it. I think everyone in this stadium knows that.
Yeah, it's you definitely got to be aware up front. Ball could or take a certain type of bounce. You just got to make sure you can secure it because Peoria High's been notorious for this, recovering onside kicks, and this is how they run up the score so quick early on.
Got to be ready for it. Trayvon Turner kicking things off for the Lions. Senior number 21. Line drive kick that will sail out of bounds. First flag of the game comes in, and a short field for Bloomington to start off the Purple Raiders offensive attack. But John, in talking with a couple of Peoria coaches beforehand, the reason why they do that is because you figure the explosiveness of kick returners at the high school level, a lot of times you'll get it returned to the 30, 40, 50-yard line, so why not take a chance, try to get the ball back, figuring that more often than not you're going to have a short field to defend anyways.
Yeah, I agree, and kind of opens the door for giving yourselves a chance to get the ball back, creates a different feel of type of game, and something Peoria High's been known for, and why switch it up if it ain't broke?
That's their key duo, man in motion, that's Haggerty. And the first play from scrimmage will be a short gain. It was Haggerty on the carry. Gained a couple, sets up second down and 8.
Another player to watch for tonight when he gets in there is Walker Burns. Coach Scott Godfrey touched on that. Definitely a player to watch. Another one of the Purple Raiders running backs.
Burns entered the evening with 32 carries on the season for 194 yards, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. The one touchdown that Ben Wellman has thrown all season. Wellman keeps it there. Gained a couple to set up third and short. And talking about Ben Wellman, he enters tonight, 29 of 62 on the season, 289 passing yards, one touchdown to 6 interceptions, though. And John, as Bloomington tries to keep pace with Peoria, they've got to limit the turnovers.
Yeah, they definitely do. And Peoria High has such a good backfield, too. It's tough to throw. It's tough to throw against them. They get a lot of interceptions on the year, so if they could try to keep up on the ground, certainly something they're going to have to try tonight.
Wellman took the snap, and immediately a flag came in. And that'll be Peoria High offsides call. That'll set up third down and 1. And John, that probably changes the Bloomington attack here. We saw Wellman take that out of the gun, but maybe you go right up the middle here and try to power in for the first down.
Yeah, I think that's probably your best option. You don't want to make any costly turnover here, so just pounding it right up the gut, see if they can convert.
Third down and 1. Bloomington in enemy territory at the 44-yard line. It is a keeper for Wellman right up the gut. Looks like he got enough for the first down, and that will move the chains.
Stayed in the gun and took it himself.
Wellman also with a decent amount of rushing yards on the season. Interesting wrinkle to this Bloomington offense when you have a two-way quarterback. They can make a play with his legs. Was able to get the running start right there.
I think we could definitely see a lot of that on both sides. We already saw that with Beckham, and Wellman showing that early.
Going to hand it off here this time to Haggerty, and Haggerty brought down for a big loss. Talking with Tim Thornton beforehand, John, it's a team that prides themselves on getting to the quarterback. Didn't get to the quarterback there, but they got into the backfield just the same, and that was actually a handoff to Trey Jenkins. My apologies. But nevertheless, result was the same.
It's going to be tough to run those sweeps outside against this Peoria High defense. They're so quick to get in that backfield. And I think the key tonight for Bloomington is that offensive line creating some blocks up front.
Just ahead of the 8-minute mark. This is the first pass of the game for either side, and a completion out to Jacob Sanchez. Sanchez just a little bit short of the sticks. Pardon me, he did get enough for the first down. And John, that's big. The first aerial attempt of the evening favors Bloomington.
Yeah, especially, too, Joe, you look at that onside kick and giving Bloomington some nice field position. If they can convert and, tie this game early on, we're in for a ball game.
Two in the backfield with Wellman. He's going to drop back to pass again. You see Peoria bringing that pressure, completed out to Haggerty. He's got a little space in front of him. He's at the 10-yard line looking for the corner of the end zone.
Almost got it.
Stopped just a little bit short, but what a play from Ian Haggerty. Haggerty with 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. The rushing leader for Bloomington, just south of 300 yards. Sets up the Purple Raiders, and Bloomington has to love the position they are in right now.
Yeah, really nice start on the offensive end for Bloomington. chance to potentially tie the game and maybe take the lead.
Ball spotted at the 2-yard line. See at the bottom of your screen, working just north of 7 minutes left in our first quarter of play. It's going to be Wellman in the shotgun. He's going to try to keep it himself up the middle, and that time the Lions were on it.
Good stop there for Peoria High.
I'll walk it back just a little bit. That sets up 2nd down and goal from the 6-yard line. Loss of 4 on the play. John, where do you go here if you're Bloomington? We've seen Haggerty have a lot of success this drive, Wellman as well, but Sanchez and Jenkins have been key pieces as well.
Yeah, Wellman out of the gun again. I'm curious to see if we're going to see another slant pass.
And instead, it looks like a false start there. I believe that'll be a false start against Bloomington. I think the Purple Raiders jumped first. That's Jacob Sanchez, and indeed Sanchez moved. That sets up 2nd down and goal from outside the 10-yard line. Never anything you want.
Almost wonder if that slant that I just said might come into play on this play. You don't want to get too far outside, Joey, then you kind of eliminate that run.
Curious to see if maybe Wellman drops back to pass. Nobody in the backfield with him. He shows pass, looks to the corner. Nobody was home. Sets up 3rd down and goal. So, John, this changes things. Do you consider this 4-down territory?
It's tough to say, Joey. See what they can do here, though. I mean, I'm thinking as far as as they are again, they go to the air. Just a little bit of miscommunication on that last play, but I'm thinking we might see that slant again.
See if Bloomington tries to go over the middle. Maybe beat the Lions with some speed. Haggerty back with Wellman. Wellman the snap. Looks to Haggerty. They tried to go up the middle, and Ian Haggerty was stuffed.
So what looked to be a potential score for Bloomington, after a couple mental mistakes, pushes them back, and Joey, looks like we're getting ready for a field goal here.
Bloomington set and ready to kick things off. Bloomington has converted on 1 field goal this season. That was good from 26 yards out. And in to handle the kicking duties is Cameron Anderson. And that is blocked. Peoria can field it. They won't. They'll down it. And a short field. No, they're going to try it. It'll be a short field either way. Bloomington got in late. An odd play there, but
yeah, certainly was.
Nevertheless, Cameron Anderson has missed the field goal. Anderson entering tonight had converted on 1 field goal from 26 yards out. That was his only attempt on the season. He also handles the kickoff duties for Bloomington, so we'll see if we see him again. And that's likely where that run came into play. They were just trying to set that up.
Yeah. And Joe, you might think, should have maybe downed it there, but with Peoria High as explosive as they are, this doesn't even look like a bad field position for them. I'm sure they're not thinking it that way either.
89 yards to drive. See how the Lions approach it. Darius Beckham, if you're just joining us, scampered in from around midfield on the Lions' first drive of the evening for that 6 points you see for Peoria. Quick whistle and our first timeout of the game. Or pardon me, I believe this is just an official's timeout. Tough to tell with all the Bloomington yellow. You see the yellow gloves and the cleats. But the officials will wind the clock and we'll play here. Working the second half of the first quarter. And the first play of the Lions drive goes nowhere.
Bloomington doing a good job of getting inside on Beckham there to stop him. Joe, if he finds a hole, it's tough to bring down.
You don't want to let the Lions get space. As you said, John, we saw that from Beckham in that first drive. Jack Weltha made the stop on that last play. 2nd down and 10. Going out to the flat, and that pass was dropped, and Bloomington coming in late. No flag on the play.
Looked like a
I believe he did catch it, pardon me. That was Eddie Clark. And that would explain why they came in. Now they're going to wave it incomplete.
Joey, we'll see if Peoria High elects to maybe go to the air for the first time. Air it out deep here.
I would think that would be a decent play call. We'll see what they elect to do as the officials will stop play here for just a second. Officials have talked things over, and I believe they want to discuss that last call because one official came in late signaling incomplete. The others said it was caught. Clock stopped right now, as you see at the bottom of your screen. Second down and 10. Dropping back is Beckham. Beckham rolling. He's going to go to the air. That pass is hauled in by Dietrich Pollard. Pollard along the sideline has a Lions first down.
Dangerous through the air as well, as we've seen this season. Good job of creating space and getting that first down. Kind of relieves a little bit of pressure now off the Lions.
It's first reception we've seen from Pollard. First throw we've seen from Beckham. One play later, Beckham will try and keep it. John, a similar play to the one he scored on a couple of minutes ago. Flag comes in late, but pending the flag, he didn't get a whole lot on that one.
Might be against Peoria High, late hit there. Tough to say.
And we've seen both teams showing some physicality early.
What you would expect in a Big 12 matchup, you know you're going to have a physical game, and as we talked earlier in the broadcast, Joey, Bloomington's certainly not going to shy down from a challenge. Expect this game to be physical.
That will be against Peoria, and they'll go back. That flag came in at the 23-yard line. And it'll back them up a good ways from there. We'll see where they spotted at.
I believe that was on Darius Thomas.
March it back. It will remain first down. Line to gain for the first down is the 30-yard line. Clock winds, first down and 20. And John, this may set up more passing situations for Peoria.
Certainly will.
Beckham dropping back. It's a pass. Looks for space. He's going to do it himself. Finds a little bit of space. Got that all the way out to the sidelines, and you see that physicality there as the Purple Raiders pushed him towards the huddle. But, John, I like that Karan Taylor comparison you made earlier because Karan Taylor, I remember I saw him play a couple of times, and he was that type of quarterback that if he had any green in front of him, he was going to use it.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, you drop back. If the throw's not there, he just had daylight in front of him, and you see those similarities, you know. Beckham dropping back. We've seen that a couple plays. Pass isn't there, and not afraid to run the ball.
Nobody in the backfield with him here. Bloomington has been successful in slowing the Lions offense down a little bit, dumping it off. It's caught by Hazlitt. Hazlitt looking for a little bit of space, surrounded by white jerseys, and brought down short of the first down marker. Sets up third and short. Should be third and about 3.
What would you say, Joey, after that first possession that Peoria High had scored early on, that Bloomington looks a little bit more comfortable in their defense, looking like that hurry-up isn't phasing them as much, getting a chance to make some stops, but we'll see if that ultimately they can make a stop to get the ball back here.
Certainly looks like they've made the proper adjustments. Purple Raiders coached by Scott Godfrey. There's a handoff to Eddie Clark. Clark thought he stayed up. The officials say otherwise. In any case, good for the first down. And I think Bloomington, John, will be content to let Peoria do this. A couple of short gains, boom, boom, boom up the field. They're going to make them go slow, but it's those chunk plays. It's the big run we saw from Beckham earlier. That's what Bloomington wants to avoid.
Certainly is. I think they'd be content keeping a midfield at the moment.
Handoff there to Clark. Clark got about 3. When you see a team run this offense that Peoria does, John, I actually feel like it slows the game down a little bit. It's running at a pretty good pace right now because they're not getting the first downs, but normally this is an offense that stops the clock a lot because they've got to move the chains.
Yeah, it certainly is. And
goes back to Beckham here, and Beckham got a couple. Brought down by Marcus Griffin.
But regardless of the adjustments, you know, Peoria High is not going to change its game. You can see Coach on the sideline saying, hurry it up, hurry it up. They're still going to want to push it down your throat, and still working for him at the moment.
Works for Eddie Clark right there. He's got space in front of him. Foot race. He's at the 30. He's going to be brought down inside the 20, but Eddie Clark with a big chunk play.
Almost thought he got away there, Joey. Just caught him by the collar.
Bloomington with a great tackle, and that came down to a track meet. It was Eddie Clark versus the Purple Raiders defense. Thought Clark was going to have him there. Looked like he had started to pull away, but a good effort from Bloomington. But we'll see if that energizes the Lions offense. Handoff again, going up the middle. That time to Isaiah Fisher. First time we've called Fisher's name tonight, a 5'9" senior.
Sure, Peoria High would like to throw one more score up on the board here before the first quarter ends.
Certainly have the explosivity to do it. Another handoff to Fisher. Fisher with space. Fisher near the goal line. Is he in? He is not, just a little bit short. But Isaiah Fisher with a nice change of pace here for the Lions. Let's march them down towards the goal line. And it looks like the officials want to talk things over. There'll be a sub here for Peoria. Dietrich Pollard will come in. Isaiah Hazlitt comes out. Now Hazlitt, no, pardon me. Ricky Hearn's going to come in. Pollard's going to come out.
A little bit of confusion.
A little confusion there. That's one coming in for 11. Who came in for Hazlitt. First and goal from the 1. Handoff up the middle to Fisher. Peoria thinks they have it, and they do. Touchdown Lions, and the Lions go ahead by 2 scores. Minute 17 left in the first quarter, and you can hear the Peoria Stadium crowd behind us, loving it. It's Isaiah Fisher.
Peoria High being that top seed, obviously wanted to make that statement early. Got to like being up 2 scores in the first quarter. Joey, how does Bloomington respond?
Well, we'll see the 2-point conversion successful. So now they're down 2 entire touchdowns. John, I think it's got to go back to tempo, right?
Certainly does. And that run game was working for them. We saw how close they were to punching it in the end zone. Obviously that flag and then a miscommunication on a pass, just that close. But when you have opportunities like that, you have to cash in on them, Joey, because you don't want to give it back to Peoria High. Find yourself in this hole as you would expect.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about after the Lions' first touchdown. For the Purple Raiders to have a chance, they've got to recover the onside kick. Not a given they're going to get the ball right back. I think tempo becomes big right with a short field if they can recover the onside kick. But one thing I like about Peoria is you always know what they're going to do on the kickoff. And that's try and get it right back.
We know we're going to see another onside kick here. Joey, we don't want to jump the gun too soon and say that Peoria High could only be up 2 scores going in the second quarter, because if they recover the ball here on this onside kick, we have midfield a chance to maybe score it a 3rd time. So I think, as we talked about that first kickoff, Bloomington's got to be careful to make sure they can recover the ball.
Ricky Hearn will handle the kickoff duties this time for the Lions. And John, it goes back to the 2 games that Peoria has played on this field this season. They beat Peoria Notre Dame 62 points in that one. They beat Richwoods with 70 points in that one last week. They can crank up the voltage on very short notice. Ricky Hearn will handle the kickoff duties here. He's a 6'1" sophomore. And instead, he'll boot it deep. So they're going to give the Purple Raiders a chance to return it here. Chance for Bloomington at the 30-yard line. Still on his feet is Jacob Barger. Or pardon me, not Barger, rather Trey Baugh. Baugh is knocked out of bounds at the 40. So Peoria with an interesting wrinkle, John. In talking with a couple Peoria head coaches, or coaches I should say, before this one, they highlighted the trend, I should say, of Lions onside kicks. Decided to send it deep that time.
Yeah. Switching up the game plan a little bit.
Good return from Baugh, though. Sets up a moderate field, we'll say, in front of the Purple Raiders. Wellman again in the backfield. One man in there with him, that's Nick Ruffin. He's going to air it out long. First play from scrimmage, dropped out there by Adam Beasley. Beasley had a step. Couldn't quite get to the ball in time, but John, I like that play calling from Scott Godfrey to wind one up on first down.
Yeah, just underthrew him a little bit, but Beasley catches that ball. He had a good 5-10 yards on him, Joe. He might have took that one all the way. Good smart play, though, to open it up. Show that you're not backing down and see if Bloomington elects to maybe air it out again on one of these possessions.
Caught the defense just a step behind there, and we'll see what Wellman elects to do on second down. Man in motion, that's Marcus Griffin. Griffin, you can see, in some trouble and brought down well behind the line of scrimmage. Flag is down at the 40-yard line, but flag pending. Bloomington marched backwards. And that will go against Bloomington again. It's the Purple Raiders in some trouble there on second down. Penalty declined by Bloomington. Just south of a minute left in the first quarter. Glad you're with us on ClutchSportsIL.com tonight. I'm Joey Wright with John Camosa, Larry Larson, John Michael, Francisco Alonso, Matt Harrington, and the rest of our Clutch Sports media team. Clock winds, Wellman dropping back, looking again for the arms of Adam Beasley, and Beasley again couldn't come up with it, but John, that is what Bloomington is trying to do. They're trying to air it out deep to Beasley. That time with a running clock on third down. Incomplete, sets up 4th and 13.
And the two passes on that possession, Joey, both to Beasley, underthrew him on the left-hand side and just in front of us here on the right, just through his hands, but I really like that. Bloomington doing a good job of airing it out, and Beasley had his man beat again, just couldn't come down with it.
Sets up 4th and long, and this will be a punt here for Bloomington. And to handle the punting duties is Ben Wellman, the quarterback, staying in there. Back deep to return, Isaiah Hazlitt for Peoria. Low snap, Wellman with a good punt. Hazlitt camps out under it, and he's going to field it. Tries to make something happen. Caught it with a good head of steam down the sideline. Crosses midfield, crosses the 40-yard line, and then he's brought down. John, with just under 27 seconds left, you can't close the book on Peoria's quarter.
No, you certainly can't. I think we might see him potentially put one in the end zone here, Joey. 26 seconds is enough time for the Lions with how explosive their offense has looked.
Peoria defense heads out, as does the Bloomington offense. There was a flag down on the punt, and that flag was way back at the 30-yard line. So the Lions march it back just a ways. A long ways. Still can't close the book on their first quarter, but that's going to make it a lot tougher. I believe that was a holding call on the punt.
Definitely make things a little more interesting.
Longer field ahead of Darius Beckham and company. And we'll see if Beckham elects to pass. Lions with a bit of a cushion here. For just joining us, they posted 2 early touchdowns. Bloomington has had momentum on offense, but they haven't been able to find the end zone. First play is a handoff to Eddie Clark. Flag's going to come in as Clark takes 2 hits, and he's knocked out. We'll see what the flag is. Early indications are a hold.
Another holding call for the Lions.
That call came in awfully quick.
It
The
did.
official really knew that he wanted to call it. That's going to march the Lions back on what was a nice gain from Clark.
Almost called that holding call as the play was still going on, unfolding there. Wasted no time.
Wanted to make sure everyone in the building knows, and a good crowd on hand. We look behind us and see a lot of happy Lions fans. Small contingent for Bloomington. You'll see them as the Lions march down the field. Sets up 1st down and 20. Lions don't have to snap it here before the quarter ends. but it looks like they will. Beckham takes the snap, pardon me. Looks for some space, is going to take it himself. Has a little space down the sideline. Legs taken out from under him. And he gets near the first down markers as the first quarter comes to a close. We'll see where they spot it as we prepare to switch fields.
Nice hesitation there from Beckham. Beat his defender outside. Good gain for the Lions there going into the second quarter.
After the holding call, perhaps just what they needed. And after one quarter of play, 14-0 is our score, favoring the host Lions. And we'll take this break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army, with more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits to help you along the way. The U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. The United States Army. We are proud to have them on board tonight. You see the number there at the bottom of your screen all game long. GoArmy.com as well. And again, for more information, that number is 309-689-0071, or you can text AVKQ to GO Army. Peoria didn't quite have that first down at the end of the quarter, but to start the second quarter, it's 2nd down and 4. And in the backfield alone, Beckham. Now he's got some company, but 2 flags come in.
Lions jumped offside there.
And that'll back him up 5 yards. John, we aren't keeping statistics this week like we have the rest of the season. A little bit short-staffed in that regard tonight, but just anecdotally, the penalties really building up for both teams, especially Peoria.
Yeah, they certainly are, and like you said, we're not keeping stats, but Peoria High's definitely lost a lot of yardage off their penalties.
Darius Beckham dropping back, rolling. Can't quite find his man, Rayshon Buckner. Falls to the turf, 3rd down and 9.
Thought for a second there he was almost going to Eddie Clark. Overlooked him a little bit.
Yeah, it was right in the middle. It was Clark in the flat, and coming back towards it was Buckner. In any case, 3rd and 9. And this is a big 3rd down, John. We've talked about the unapologetic nature of this Peoria Lions offense, but it might be a punting situation if they can't pick this up. It's a handoff to Clark, and Clark is not going to have enough for the first down. Purple Raiders defense with a big stop. A couple of bodies were there, and John, I'll ask you now, does this set up a punting situation?
You'd certainly think so, but Peoria High, they like to run up scores. They don't like to back down whatsoever, so Joe, you never know, honestly. It doesn't look like they are.
Early indication is that they are going to go for it, trying to catch the Purple Raiders off sides. Hard count there, but Beckham couldn't get Bloomington to bite. Play clock winding down. He's going to take the snap. Handoff to Clark up the middle. And he is going to be stopped short. Line to gain, I believe, was the 32, and he was stopped at the 30.
I think Bloomington's defense definitely steps up there. And, Joe, you look back at their first possession there that they almost punched one in. This is their next best, look at a score right here. Sitting at the 30-yard line.
Bloomington will receive the second half kickoff. We say kickoff with a grain of salt. So you get a look at some stat leaders for Bloomington entering tonight. Ben Wellman, Ian Haggerty, Beasley and Sanchez, and Anthony Curry. Defensively, talked a lot about Wellman, Haggerty, and that duo tonight. Sanchez has had some looks as well. Here's Wellman looking to Sanchez, and Sanchez bobbles it, drops it. That was nearly intercepted.
Got really lucky there for Bloomington. Peoria High almost had that one picked off, and Joe, you'd have had daylight in front of them.
Clock stops at 11:04. A couple seconds nearly came off there in a big way for Peoria. And that's one that Peoria wants back. Nasha Robertson going over to console Dietrich Pollard, says get him next time. Pollard was the closest one to that.
Could potentially see Wellman go to Beasley again. It almost worked out twice. You're in good field position to do that.
Instead, Wellman will take it up the middle. Got through the front a couple of players before he was brought down, and that tackle was made by Isaiah Williams. But John, I agree. I've liked the willingness for Bloomington to take those chances. You alluded to 2 near connections to Adam Beasley, the first of which was thrown just a little bit long. Second one was nearly caught on the near sideline. 3rd and 4. Defense maybe thinks short gain. See if they dial one up. Man in motion. It's Trey Jenkins. Fakes the handoff to Jenkins, does Wellman, and is going to pick up enough for the first down. So Ben Wellman has stepped in, John, and he's made some timely plays tonight with his legs, with his arm as well. Mentioned that he's only thrown 1 touchdown this season to 6 interceptions, but he's playing very smart and very measured tonight.
Yeah, Joey, and when we talked with Coach Scott Godfrey before the game, he said his team's very balanced, and we're seeing that. You know, you can't back down from an opponent, you know, top-seeded Peoria High. You know you're going to have to put some things on the table, air it out, and run it, and they're looking pretty balanced so far.
First down and 10, 16-yard line. And doing a nice job was the Raiders' front 5 there. Short gain, but every little gain counts as they near the sticks. And John, you mentioned that Bloomington does enter the Big 12 tournament as the 8 seed. Big 12 this season elected to play the first 3 weeks of the season regularly, but because of the shortened 6-week season, they've pivoted to a tournament these last couple of weeks. Wellman keeping. Wellman looking for the end zone. He's got it. And Bloomington on the board for the first time tonight. Touchdown, Purple Raiders. And that is a big score, as it looked like Peoria might have been starting to pull away.
And Bloomington's offense right now looks pretty solid. See if their defense can hold them. That's something that they're obviously going to have to step up if they want to stay in this game. But Joey, early on, Ben Wellman really doing it all for Bloomington.
Purple Raiders on for the extra point. Cameron Anderson handling the kicking duties. Had a field goal blocked earlier from about 27 yards out. The extra point attempt is up and good. Cameron Anderson now 1 of 2 on the season, talking about actual field goal attempts, but a big extra point there. And despite all we've seen this season in terms of Peoria's offense, you know, they scored a lot of points. We've covered that. We've got a football score here early on, 14-7. None of the 62-49 or 70-28 shenanigans. Even the game they lost at East St. Louis was 69-19. I don't even know how you get to 19 points in a football game. Of course, I do know how, but you know, in practice, it's very difficult.
Just an odd score to look at during a football game. But Joey, as we saw earlier, I mean, we talked about Peoria High electing to go for 2 on every possession. Scoring 19 definitely doesn't seem as odd when you don't kick a lot of field goals.
Yeah, when you factor that in, it certainly starts to make some sense. Maybe a safety was included in there.
Defense is certainly capable.
It's a smothering it's a smothering group. Hazlitt and Clark back deep to receive. Set to send it away is Anderson. See if the Purple Raiders defense can hold, but the special teams unit has to hold first. Fielded by Clark, and Eddie Clark looking, still on his feet, and he's brought down at about the 25-yard line. Bloomington's kickoff unit has looked good in the 2 opportunities they've had, John. It's an explosive Peoria group.
Certainly holding their own this far. See what Peoria High can do on this possession. Joey, I think it's pivotal right here. Bloomington can make a stop. Try to get right back in this game, but so far so good.
How big would a turnover be for the Bloomington Psyche? They forced 2 fumbles this season. Have not intercepted a pass yet. Could look to change that.
Talked about those penalties as well. Capitalize on those.
Here's Clark. Clark coming towards us. Hit hard at the 35-yard line. Bounces out of bounds. And that ought to move the chains. And indeed, it's will. Well, no, they're just going to mark him a little bit short. Pardon me, he was at the 30-yard line, not the 35. They will move it. a first down for Peoria. And we are pretty much right at field level, John. Of course, we're elevated a good bit on what would be the bandstand normally. High crowd at Peoria Stadium. And a fumbled handoff here. Ball's loose. Looks like Peoria got back to it first. And indeed, Beckham was right there. Darius Beckham making a big play. That could have been disaster for the Lions.
Joe, you almost spoke that one out into existence there. About a turnover. And you know, with that hurry-up offense, we talked about those penalties, and sometimes you hurry up that offense and you go to snap a ball, and you're running so quick you might lose handle on it. It's running an offense like that, penalties aren't as uncommon.
Certainly not, yeah.
And turnovers as well.
And you'll trade those for the explosive factor. Clark in motion. He is not going to get the handoff. Instead, Beckham's going to keep it himself. Beckham with a couple of yards gained there. Call it 3 or 4. And going back to the point I was making, you'll trade a couple of those penalties, a couple holding calls for that factor, right, where you can dial it up and crank off a 60, 80-yard run at will. Although in a close game like this, you certainly want to limit those.
Yeah, certainly. And Bloomington's defense is trying to hold their own here.
Pass out at the flat, caught by Buckner. Bloomington was right on it. Buckner stopped. Only got 2 or 3 on that play. I believe they'll call that a loss of 2. And that'll set up 4th down and 7.
And Joey, going back to your point earlier, talking to some of the Peoria High coaches, what to look for in Bloomington. It's a tough team that doesn't back down, and being that 8 seed coming in, facing a top-seeded Peoria High at home, they're holding their ground. They're certainly not backing down from a challenge, and I like what I've seen in the defense so far.
See if they can hold their ground here. 4th and 9. Beckham's going to pass it over the middle, and it is batted away, incomplete. Right in there was Anthony Curry, who we mentioned a moment ago, a defensive leader for the Purple Raiders. And Bloomington is back in business, John. They could tie or take the lead with a touchdown, and they've got a short field to drive.
Yeah, it was a crucial stop for Bloomington, and Curry just getting his hand in on that one. Otherwise, Joe, you might have seen a pass up the middle for a big gain there as he had his man. Bloomington a chance to keep running that same style of offense, see if they go to the air and get Ben Wellman involved on the ground.
Wellman starting this one off with Walker Burns in the backfield with him. Peoria defense steps up. Burns with a loss on his first handoff. And Walker Burns, who has 2 total touchdowns on the season, sees his offense backed up a little ways if he wants to maybe get his 3rd right here. We've talked a lot, John, about the Peoria offense and how they can crank it up, but that defense, too. I mean, they've stepped up and made some big plays, especially when Bloomington had a goal-to-go situation. They stepped up, made 4 big stops, and blocked a field goal.
Yeah, and going back to that last possession, Bloomington getting a big stop. I think same boats for Peoria High right now, coming up with a big stop.
Wellman moving through the defense, gets some blocks. Wellman, as a flag comes in, got it inside the 25. And flag pending, Wellman with a big gain on a play that the Peoria defensive front blew up.
That's going to hurt him, that penalty
coming
call.
Back. Or at least negating a lot of what Wellman did.
And I think, Joey, one thing, still got 6:30 to go till halftime, but both coaches are definitely going to talk about limiting those mental mistakes and those penalties. I've seen quite a bit of them between both teams thus far. Like I say, we're not keeping stats, but there's been a lot.
A lot of big plays, as you've said, wiped out. And that really hurt Bloomington on their first drive of the game when they got it inside the 10-yard line. They had to back it up, settle for a field goal. As I mentioned ago, a field goal that was ultimately blocked. Wellman in the gun here. Trey Jenkins in motion. Wellman's going to keep it himself. Tripped up. And if he hadn't been tripped up there, that could have been trouble, John. I believe that was Cedric Beckham in on the stop, and it was. Beckham with a shoestring tackle that might have saved, if not a touchdown, a gain of about 10 or 15 more yards.
Yeah, Joey, and going into this game, we talked a lot about Walker Burns and Haggerty being the go-to guys on the ground, but Ben Wellman really acted more of a back for Bloomington. Certainly something they're going to need in a game like this as well.
Two in the backfield with him. One departs. He drops back to pass, looks out to the flat. Burns with the reception. Burns a little seam up the sideline. Brought down the 23. Should be enough, and it is enough for the first down. And that's the first time we've seen kind of that halfback screen play for Bloomington, but in talking with Peoria beforehand, that's something they scouted. Bloomington plays a lot of that wing T sort of style. Sometimes they'll spread it out, but that time it was good old-fashioned, get it out to the flat and hope for some blocks, and the blocks came.
Yeah, blocks were there, and good job for Burns to corral that one and pick up a nice gain. Bloomington in that same position that they were in on their first score, a chance to punch one in again.
Jenkins in motion, that's where Wellman's looking. He bobbles it, he makes the reception, has a little bit up the sideline to the 10-yard line. And what a reception from Trey Jenkins, John, who nearly dropped it, stayed with it, and was able to make a big play.
And good heads-up play there from Jenkins. Corral that one and pick up a couple extra yards. Joey, a really good opportunity here for Bloomington, and Coach Scott Godfrey and his team would feel really good about tying this game up, especially this late in the second quarter against a powerhouse team like Peoria High.
It's essentially first and goal. Ball spotted at the 11-yard line. 10 yards to go. Flag comes in. Maybe a false start against Bloomington, and it is. And that'll back the Purple Raiders back. So, John, now the second time tonight we've seen Bloomington as they get it to inside the 10-yard line, or right at the 10-yard line, as we'll call that, being at the 11. Those unforced errors creep in, the flags start flying, and Bloomington has marched themselves back once again.
And Joey, if this game remains close, you know, especially to close out this first half, those are the little mistakes that are going to come back and kind of bite you.
Still essentially first and goal. 15 to go from the 16. Wellman looking, has a little space with his legs, but he's tripped up and brought down.
Credit the Bloomington offensive line. They're really giving Wellman good blocks up front to create that space. He's taken a handful of them right up the middle.
They got it back to the 11-yard line, so what Bloomington lost on that false start call, they got back right there. And especially, John, as you get to this part of the field, those little gains, they really add up as it gets harder to move the ball, especially passing.
Yeah, it's reassuring when, as you say, you get a penalty like that, but you can make up for it on the ground and get those yardage back.
Wellman is lit up in the backfield there, faked the handoff, kept it himself. And you saw on your screen a barrage of black jerseys come in. So not a lot of consistency for Bloomington here. It's more like a pattern. Gain a little, lose a little, gain a little, and lose some more.
See if they elect to go to the air again, potentially, or in a 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 14 situation.
Remember, Cameron Anderson had what was about a 27-yard attempt blocked earlier from about this spot on the field. Bloomington has him in their back pocket, but we'll see if they treat this as 4-down territory. Inside of 3 minutes, 3rd down and 14. Crowd comes alive behind us. Wellman looking to the corner of the end zone. Wide open is Trey Jenkins, and he has it for the touchdown. Extra point pending. Bloomington has a chance to tie it.
Lost his man on that one, and Bloomington wide open, Joey. As you said, he could have camped under that one. Nobody around him.
Blown coverage, and it's Trey Jenkins, his first touchdown reception of the year, and the second touchdown pass for Ben Wellman. And we'll see now what Anderson can do. Our attention turns to him. Knocked in an extra point earlier, but had a field goal blocked. Could tie it up right here. Good snap, good hold, and a line drive kick sails through. And John Camoso, we are all tied up at 14. Bloomington hanging in and giving the Big 12's top seed a fight.
Certainly are. And Bloomington looking really good early on, Joey. Looked like Peoria High kind of playing their same game. Beckham getting that first touchdown, thought you'd put Bloomington a hole after not scoring on their drive, but certainly not shying down at all after being down 2 scores.
Now we'll see what the special teams unit has in store. And you've got to credit the play of Ben Wellman. I think he's doing a phenomenal job of leading his team. Now a touchdown, big thing, no interceptions for Wellman thus far this evening. Came in with a ratio of 1-to-6. Completion percentage of just below 50%, but playing very effectively tonight.
This kickoff's going to be key here for Peoria High, what they can do here.
Back deep to return. Again, it's Hazlitt and Clark. Clark has gotten a couple of looks. See if they kick it to him again. Bloomington special teams has looked good. See if Peoria can change the narrative. Goes to Hazlitt. Pardon me, that is Clark. Clark looking for space, bowls over a man. Gets it to the 30-yard line or so. Not a bad return from Clark, but still about 70 yards to drive. Bloomington hanging in there. And I don't mean to blow that out of proportion, John, but it just seems like, especially at the high school level, kickoff returns are really a primary option to score. You've got such great athletes. You know, it's kind of that weird play where you can get a good head of steam going in the opposite direction of the defense or the kickoff unit in this case. And with the athletes Peoria has, Bloomington's doing a good job.
Yeah, it certainly is, and almost feels like every time Clark touches the ball back there that he's going to usually pick up a pretty big gain with it, if not take it all the way. But as you said, Peoria High is not a team you really want to give an open field to back there, and we've seen too many times throughout the years that they can run it all the way back.
Small gain there from Clark. Clark gets it again on second down, and the Bloomington front four holds. And John, you compared Beckham to Karan Taylor a couple of minutes ago and early in the show. How about Eddie Clark and Geno Hess, the star running back on those Peoria High teams?
Yeah, a lot of similarities there as well, and feels Peoria High, you know, throughout the years you had that state team with Karan Taylor and Geno Hess, but they continue to reload and get next man up, and I've seen Eddie Clark and Beckham definitely step into their roles and provide that spark that the Lions need.
As Clark picks up a first down. And those state caliber Peoria High School teams, 2016, the year of their run to state. Kendrick Green, of course. Big piece. Dropping back is Beckham. Beckham's going to air it out long, has a man. That man is Hazlitt, just over Hazlitt's head. Would have been a touchdown if he could have gotten underneath it. Jacob Sanchez in hot pursuit. Sanchez just got beat off the jump. A flag comes in late. We'll see what that is. And John, we've now seen for both sides a couple of those aerial attacks, those deep balls, just off by a little bit.
Certainly were. And looks like it's going to be against, is that Bloomington?
Perhaps an unsportsmanlike conduct call with how late that flag came in. Bloomington marches backwards, so it is against the Purple Raiders.
Yeah, Joey, and those are the little things that you can't afford this late in the first half, especially if Peoria High could come away with the score here. I think if you're Bloomington, you're wanting to keep this game tied going into halftime.
Under 90 seconds to play. Bloomington does have the second half kickoff to look forward to, and that they will receive it. Keep an eye on that. Clock stopped on the incompletion. 89 seconds left for Peoria to find Pater. Starting off New Life with a handoff up the middle to Clark. And John, how do you approach this if you're Peoria? Do you try and wind down some clock and then dial it up real late, or are you gunning for it right now, thinking that Bloomington won't have enough time to respond?
I think they're going to, well.
Fumble, ball's loose, I believe. Peoria was able to get back underneath it, and Darius Beckham was there in time.
Beckham doing a really nice job to get back up, knowing that he was the only man to recover his own fumble. Nobody else really around. Otherwise, that's Bloomington's ball for the keeping.
It's now the second time that Beckham has gotten back under a fumble. Timeout called, and we will take this time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Want to make a big difference? Consider joining the U.S. Army. Your training can amplify your efforts all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits. Learn more by calling the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to Go Army. Again, that's AVKQ to Go Army. Or give the Peoria Army Recruiting Station a call, 309-686-0071. And that number is at the bottom of your screen all evening long. Proud to have the United States Army on board tonight. And I know that the Peoria Lions program does a lot with the Army on a regular basis.
He does. I want to say back in that state championship era with Karan Taylor, they had those digital camo Army jerseys partnering there with the Army.
They certainly did. False start against the Lions will back them up just a couple of yards, and they had those jerseys. And they looked sharp, especially, I believe they were white. I could be mistaken. They had those camouflage numbers. A couple of teams would do things like that, but I always thought Peoria's looked the best, and it looks like on the bench, number 52, you see those jerseys. We'll see if we can get that in a minute. Right now, it's a little dump off to Clark. Clark with a little space in front of him, and now that space eaten up by Bloomington. A couple of Purple Raiders in on the tackle, among them Caden Smith.
And one thing too, Joey, with clock winding down here, Peoria High doesn't really rely on their kicking game. They haven't done that all seasons. They're going to want to try to get a score here.
And another timeout called. But yeah, they certainly will want to take that opportunity to score. Hey, John, show me that camo uniform 52's wearing. John Michael, our cameraman, and maybe John, our viewers, heard me gesturing over to him, but there you see that camouflage uniform we were talking about. Looks a couple of players not dressed for Peoria tonight. They've got those on. Sharp looking digs, I must say. I really do like those.
Yeah, you see that digital camo right inside the lettering there. It's a nice look.
And a look that is synonymous with success for Peoria. As you mentioned, they wore those uniforms right around the time that they were enjoying all that success. Still are enjoying a lot of that success. Head coach Tim Thornton and company have kept up a good pace for this Lions program. 4th down and 1 out of the timeout. It's a handoff up the middle to Clark. Clark with space. Clark is going to get in. Touchdown Peoria. Crowd comes alive. And Peoria goes back ahead with just north of 30 seconds left in the half.
Clark electric on that play, just busted right up the middle, and it's exactly what Peoria High wanted. Chance to take that lead going into halftime.
They're going to go for 2. Clark comes off, and that is perhaps the loudest the crowd has gotten all evening long. Good reason for that. It's going to be Beckham lining up with Malachi Washington behind him. And Beckham's going to keep it himself. He's in with little problem. Add 2 more. And Peoria, John Camosa, has cranked it up with just a couple of seconds left in the second quarter.
Certainly has. And Joey, not a whole lot of time for Bloomington. Talk about the kickoff. Peoria High elects to kick it deep again or try an onside. But Bloomington, not a whole lot of time to score here in this closing 32 seconds, but they do get the ball back at halftime, or after halftime, I should say.
And I would say if they can recover the onside kick, but we've seen Peoria migrate away from that. So we'll see what Peoria elects to do, and that's a good tactic. Keep Bloomington on their toes.
But Joey, as you touched on, you can definitely feel that energy in the stands.
Good crowd on tap here at Peoria Stadium tonight. Within the parameters of the COVID-19 protocols that are in place, but as many fans, John, as they can safely have in here, I can tell you they have. And a great presence from the band as well.
Certainly have.
Feels like a high school football Friday in the fall on April 9th. Ricky Hearn to handle the kicking for Peoria. It's pooched up. This could be trouble. Calling for a fair catch, and catching it is Jacob Barger. Barger did a good job of staying underneath that one, because if he had given an inch, Peoria would have taken it.
Certainly would.
The Bloomington offense will set up shop at the 40-yard line. John, they have 60 yards to drive, 2 timeouts left, so they can play with the clock a little bit. I'll let you handle the analysis, but I just don't think they can afford to be overly conservative here, knowing what Peoria's max speed is.
See if they elect to go to the air. 32 seconds, not a whole lot to do on the ground.
60 yards to drive. Wellman with one in the backfield with him. Flag comes in. That should be a false start. And I think Bloomington might have tipped its hand. Adam Beasley was in a foot race down the field. Pass did come in, but it was well after the false start. And there's our answer. We'll see if they go back to that.
Yeah. Might have had him out there. I mean, that seemed to be the target throughout this game.
Certainly been his favorite. We've seen a couple of opportunities for Jacob Sanchez as well, and Trey Jenkins on the touchdown reception a couple of moments ago. But it has been, by and large, Adam Beasley on those big targets. See if they go back that way. Dropping back is Wellman, and Wellman is dropped. Couple in on the sack. Clock continues to wind. It's now down under 20 seconds. You see at the bottom of your screen. And Bloomington in no hurry.
I think they might just run out the clock here.
Looks like that they will do just that. 22-14. Bloomington is content to go into the halftime locker room down 8. And John, maybe as well they should be content. They've made some big plays. They've kept with Peoria even as the Lions have cranked up the pace. Bloomington has a first half to be proud of.
A really hard-fought first half for Bloomington, not to hang their hats on. Peoria High definitely needed that touchdown to close out the first half, but all in all, really good game so far, Joey.
And it is the Lions heading towards the locker room, ahead by 8. And we'll take a break here for the second half in just a second. But first, John, your thoughts from a first half. I know we went over a couple of them there. Peoria they had that big run from Beckham early on. Purple Raiders stepped in, kind of neutralized that attack thereafter. But still, a lot of wrinkles, I think, that Bloomington showed. Big thing, I think, for them was penalties, though.
Yeah, it certainly was. And, first touching on the offense, really like what I've seen out of Ben Wellman on the ground. Same with Peoria High. I liked what I've seen out of Darius Beckham. I think both quarterbacks are doing a really good job. And, yeah, Joey, like you said, penalties. See if both teams can kind of limit those in the second half. They cost Bloomington on a couple plays, and they certainly cost Peoria High on a couple as well. But see, Eddie Clark's certainly been, big presence for Peoria High, and see what happens in the second half. So far, so good.
And before we take our break ahead of the second half, we'll take this time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Redefine your skills, inspire change, and make a difference with a career in the U.S. Army. Join us and be a part of something bigger than yourself. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to Go Army. Again, that's AVKQ to Go Army. 309-689-0071 is the Peoria Army Recruiting Station, a number that you can see at the bottom of your screen all evening long. And also at the bottom of your screen all evening long, you'll find the score, which right now favors Peoria over Bloomington 22-14. Joey Wright, John Camosa, and the entire Clutch Sports Media team will take a quick break. We will be back right around the time that clock hits 0, so don't go anywhere. Join us for half number 2, the Lions with an 8-point lead. From Peoria Stadium in Peoria, Illinois, Clutch Sports Media back in with you for the second half of action. Peoria High School hosting Bloomington High School tonight in round one of the Big 12 tournament. More on that in just a moment. But John Camosa, as we break down this first half of action entering the second half, very even. Bloomington hanging in there, the 8 seed, not looking like the 8 seed against the tournament's top seed. They made some big plays, some timely plays. In the end, just a little more explosivity from Peoria has them ahead by 8, but I would expect, and I'm sure you would expect the same, a good second half.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly would, and if Bloomington can keep that same, offensive tempo going and keep their defense up, certainly think they could be in this game till the final horn. But we've also seen, through the years, Joey, we've seen that. I shouldn't say we've seen it a lot this season because they've had some lopsided games, but seen Peoria be close in a game at half and then, really pull away in the second half. So we'll see what type of game we see here.
We certainly will. It's a beautiful night at Peoria Stadium as you see the officials chatting it up. And we'll take this time before the second half starts to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. With more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits to help you along the way, the U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. That's AVKQ to GO Army. And you can give the Peoria Recruiting Station a call at 309-686-0071, that number on the bottom of your screen all evening long. Also, John, want to take a quick minute to highlight the efforts of Kev Varney tonight, helping us out with some statistics and fun notes for Bloomington ahead of this one. Kev's work has helped us out a lot. Not often that you get someone sending in stats and statistics, before we even reached out to him. So we just want to thank him. His help has been tremendous this evening. Kev Varney from Bloomington. And Bloomington, a statistically pretty balanced team. They're certainly a team that has the ability to hurt you in a lot of ways, but a balanced team, and we've seen those weapons step up tonight. Gonna have their work cut out for them, though, as they get ready to. So I'm told, John, and pardon me for interrupting my thought there, you can see at the bottom of your screen where a clock would normally be. There is no clock. Some scoreboard issues here at Peoria Stadium. They ran into these last week. Fear not, the PA system will announce the time, and we know the score for you is 22-14. So bear with us here. The clock not functioning, but the boys up top, the PA announcer and company are going to try to work through this with us as we start the third quarter. Onside kick expected from Peoria. Instead, they pooch it high in the air, and it is fielded by Jacob Barger, who made that same play in the first half. And we're set and ready to go in quarter number 3.
Joey, say this. Oh, there we go. I was going to say the scoreboard doesn't work for the whole game if that's a factor. Some players tend to look up there at the time, but.
Well, and it's in and out.
All right. It's going to just play tricks on us all game, so.
Larry Larson, our producer, has his stopwatch ready to go, so we'll try and give you some sort of idea of what's going on. We know there are 12 minutes left in the third quarter. First play from scrimmage is Bloomington's. Dropping back is Ben Wellman, who had a great first quarter. He's firing over the middle, and that pass is caught. And hauling it in is Ian Haggerty. Ian Haggerty, primarily a running back for Bloomington, has 2 rushing touchdowns on the season, stepping up and making a big play over the middle. John, in the first half, the passes we saw completed seemed like they were overwhelmingly of the big play variety, those kind of big chunkers down the field. That time we see just a good old-fashioned pass over the middle.
Yeah, we only saw, I think, 1 or 2 of those to Sanchez early in the first half, Joey, and it's nice that they switched it up here and see one go to Haggerty.
Second play from scrimmage is Wellman's as well. He's going to get stopped on the carry. Ben Wellman, third on the team in rushing. Averages about 4 yards a carry. Entered this one with 22 attempts, and that number has gone up, I would say, probably exponentially. He's made a lot of plays with his legs tonight.
Yeah, he's been really quick on the ground, Joey, and slashing in, finding those holes. Like I said, his line doing a really good job. They did a great job in the first half, and see if they can continue that in the second half. They're going to need every bit of that to hang tough with the Lions.
Call it 2nd down and 10. Wellman was stopped right at the line of scrimmage last time. He's in the backfield alone, as you see, but Trey Jenkins is in motion. Wellman's going to keep it himself. Stopped right about where he started as a flag comes in. And John, keep an eye on Trey Jenkins in this second half. Caught one of Bloomington's 2 touchdowns, the only passing touchdown we've seen tonight.
Another holding call there on Bloomington. Joey, we talked about how crucial it would be to eliminate those, and it's going to push Bloomington back yet again.
The penalty is declined, so it would have, John, but Peoria declined that to face 3rd down and 9. Clock winds. They've got it back up and running for now. And John, this owes back to the aggression that we talked about. We probably sound like broken records right now, right? But Peoria, an aggressive team, they're going to take the down instead of the yardage as the crowd comes alive behind us.
Yep.
3rd down and 9. And 2 flags come in. Peoria thinks it's a Bloomington false start, and indeed it is. Bloomington's going to back it up. So now Peoria gets the best of both worlds. They get the down and the yardage. 3rd down and 14 coming up.
Joey, and it almost feels like Bloomington might have to go to the air here.
Who do you target? We've seen Adam Beasley streak down the field a couple of times tonight. We saw Trey Jenkins catch a touchdown earlier.
Might go over to the middle to Haggerty again.
That worked to start things off in this 3rd quarter. We'll see. 3rd down and 14. Big play as Bloomington looks to cut into the deficit. It's Wellman dropping back to pass, and he's dropped. Ball's loose. Bloomington recovers. They did call that a fumble. Bloomington is on it. 4th and very long coming up. And that's something that the Lions pride themselves on, John, is getting to the quarterback. Blindside hit. Not a whole lot Wellman could have done differently.
Certainly is. Tough start there for Bloomington. Kind of put themselves in a hole with those penalties, and then ultimately Peoria High getting right back in on Wellman. Not much you could do there.
Now Wellman has to stay on and punt. Back deep to return. Once again is Isaiah Hazlitt. High snap. And a good punt from Wellman. And Peoria won't have a play on it in all likelihood. Indeed they won't. Down at the 41-yard line. 59 yards ahead of the Lions, who jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead to start this one out, 14-0. Then Bloomington got back into it. So going down 2 scores wouldn't be the end of the world for the Purple Raiders, John, but the way this feels and the way the Lions have played this season, it feels like once they get that big lead, it's so tough to get back into it.
Yeah, it really is, and I think you can hold them within 1 or 2 touchdowns is your best option, but Peoria High so quick on the ground, Joey, and if they can get a score on this possession, Bloomington's really going to have to put something in the end zone on their trip.
Clark got the handoff, then probably wished he hadn't. Bloomington breaks through. And that'll set up 2nd down and just a little bit longer than where we started. Spotted at the 40-yard line, 2nd and 12. See if they go back to Clark. He's been a workhorse tonight. Clark does get the handoff again. And this time works both teams down the field, short gain. But a solid one, John, as it'll set up 3rd down and about 10 yards. A little shorter than that, but you get the idea.
I almost get the feeling Peoria High might go to the air here, maybe a little slant. This be a crucial stop for Bloomington.
Lined up in tight towards us is Rashawn Buckner, who has been targeted in these situations tonight. Buckner lined up against Caden Smith. Man in motion is Clark. Jet sweep fake and a pass over the middle and caught. And here's an opportunity for Peoria to go ahead. 2 scores, they will. Touchdown Lions, Dietrich Pollard.
Said they might go over the air, they did. Great play and daylight ahead of them. Just like that, Peoria High up 2 scores.
Well-designed play there. Darius Beckham floated it in to Dietrich Pollard, and the junior made it a track meet and won the race. The air raid sirens come in behind us. 8:05 to play in this third quarter, and we'll see if the Lions can be the first team tonight towards the 30-point mark. They'll go for 2. Washington in the backfield with his man, and that is incomplete. Pardon me, Beckham was floating it up to Haslett towards the corner, and Haslett couldn't quite come down with it.
Almost had that one, Joey.
He did, and that was a tough play and a great effort from Haslett to stay with it as he floated back towards that back corner. John, now we're going to find out what Bloomington has in the mental toughness department. They were down 2 scores earlier, overcame that, but the crowd has really gotten into it since. Peoria ahead by 2 scores again. Just feels like they need something here, otherwise the avalanche is upon us.
Yeah, it certainly does, and we saw Peoria High, great executed play right there for a touchdown, and Joey, it makes you wonder, like you said, you don't want to get too far in a hole. You said 2 touchdowns is obtainable, but if Bloomington doesn't get something going on this drive, Peoria High gets the ball back in good field position. Could be all Peoria High.
That was a 59-yard touchdown drive for the Lions. And the player I've got my eyes on right now is Jacob Barger, John. Last 2 onside kicks, Peoria has targeted him with those high onside kicks. Just pooching it up about 15 yards or so, maybe 20. Barger has came down with it both times. We'll see if they go back to him or if they go with a more conventional onside attempt, or if they send it deep. They will send it back to Barger, calls for the fair catch, comes down with it right at the 35-yard line. They're small things, John. They go unnoticed by a lot, but Barger has made 3 big plays. Kickoff coming right at him, the cavalry coming. He's made 3 big catches, held on to it. And just little things like that have at least given Bloomington a chance.
Yeah, doing a good job of keeping his composure, getting under there. And, you know, Joey, in that short of a kickoff, you might get a little nervous, drop the ball. It's you got guys coming full steam ahead, but good job for him to corral that and ultimately give Bloomington a chance. So we'll see what they can do here.
Can't be easy when you've got 5 or 6 varsity football players on one of the better teams in the area coming at you. Wellman to start off drive number 2 for the Purple Raiders in half number 2. Takes the snap, up the middle he goes, and he is dropped. Flag comes in late, but that's Bloomington's front 4 stepping up and making the tackle. In on that one was Alonzo. And that will be a penalty against Bloomington once again. John, we mentioned at the top of the show, not keeping stats up here like we normally would. Couple of things, staffing-wise, we can't quite get those updated stats this week, but anecdotally, I'll use the same line I used earlier. It's penalties. Yeah. Big-time penalties for Bloomington and Peoria. This one a holding call against the Raiders. Stepping up, or a personal foul, against Bloomington.
And those are I mean, Joe, you look at the holds, ultimately, you bust one outside or inside. You know, a lineman has a hold there, or, outside tackle, but ones like those could be eliminated. That's just a personal foul there. It's little plays like that you have to steer away from.
Keeps the clock running, but more importantly, backs the Raiders way up. 2nd down and 25. Wellman doing what he can to try and get out of it. Gets out of a couple tackles, floats one down towards Jenkins. Jenkins dropped it, and pardon me, not Jenkins, but Marcus Griffin. In any case, 3rd down and 25 coming up. Good play from Wellman to slip out of trouble. But owing to that pressure, he just couldn't get a good one over to Jenkins.
And Joey, your best option here is try to air one out. Not really going to do a lot on the ground with 25 yards ahead of you. This Peoria High defense.
But an incomplete pass sets you up for 4th down and very long. No good way to approach it. Wellman doing his best. It's a screen pass, near side, and Bloomington with a little bit here. Credit Walker Burns, for getting something out of nothing. But John, a clear punting situation for Bloomington.
Nice job by Peoria High's defense to come up strong again, make a stop, and Joey, if you're Bloomington now, the ball back to Peoria High, something's got to give here.
Back to punt is Wellman. And back deep to return is Hazlitt. Wellman punted it earlier in the half as we'll have a timeout called by Peoria. Didn't give Hazlitt anything to work with. And we'll talk things over here. Peoria calling a timeout. And we'll take this break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Want to make a big difference? Consider joining the U.S. Army. Your training can amplify your efforts, all over the world. Plus, you'll receive competitive pay and incredible benefits. Learn more by calling the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. Again, learn more by calling the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to GO Army. Out of the timeout, Bloomington ready to punt. Hazlitt again back deep to return. See if Wellman gives him anything to work with. High punt, end over end. Peoria will watch as Bloomington downs it, probably a wise call.
Joey, I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw in the last possession. Peoria High run it a little bit. We might see another one through the air, but ultimately you get to that point when's Peoria High going to wear Bloomington down to the point where they could just keep running this score up? I think a stop here for Bloomington would bode really well.
I certainly agree, but at some point the offense needs to step up as well. You're kind of getting into that territory for Bloomington. Defense has looked solid. First play of the drive for Bloomington is Eddie Clark. Clark bouncing it outside. He's got a little bit of space. Still a little bit of space down the sideline. Still on his feet and brought down just shy of the 30-yard line. Eddie Clark stepping up in a big way for the Lions. And as we talked about Bloomington needing a stop, that is a big letdown on first down.
I mean, he's just a tough player to stop, Joey, and he's been phenomenal tonight. And Bloomington early on limited him a little bit, but I think that touchdown by Clark just before half and really helped give him that momentum going in.
Keeper for Beckham, and Beckham got a couple. And big for Peoria, Eddie Clark, only a junior, showing what he can do next season in what is hopefully a non-COVID abbreviated year. And of course, all indications as of now point to a return to some degree of normalcy in the fall. Another handoff to Clark. And Clark got a little bit. Clark staying in after that big rush on first down, showing his stamina.
Knocking on the door here again, Joey. Peoria High right in that territory that they could punch one in again. Seen a couple right there, just breaking it up the middle.
Low snap, and now a handoff to Clark on 3rd and 1. He's going to get more than enough. And John, I was just about to say, a big 3rd and 1, but he all but knew Peoria was going to approach that as 4-down territory. That takes that out of the equation. Just a little bit shy of a goal-to-go situation, and you see that tempo for Peoria as they work it up the field. Beckham the give. It's Clark again. That time Bloomington was ready. And John, I'm a little curious to see if maybe they don't draw something up for Beckham, whether that's a pass or a design quarterback run. He's been pretty quiet this drive. He's letting his running back Clark do most of the work.
Yeah, he is. And there's another one. But, if it's work up.
Ball's loose in the end zone. Let's see who's on it.
I think Peoria High got back on it.
It did. Touchdown Lions. So an odd play, but John, that's why you let Eddie Clark do the work.
Certainly is, and from this angle, Joey, and a little bit far away, not sure who landed on that one. Was it Clark?
May well have been, and we're at an odd angle as we talked about. Where our camera is, it's even a little higher than we are. We're just elevated about 10 feet up off the field, and that's down towards the end zone. But in any case, Peoria was there to get right back on it. Fumble notwithstanding, and Eddie Clark was right there on the goal line when that came loose. He had a phenomenal drive, leading the Lions down to the big score. Did it pretty much all himself.
Certainly did, and Joey, I think, since this is working and clock's winding down a little bit here in the third quarter, we're going to see a lot of that from Peoria High. Just continue to run the ball. Eddie Clark so good at creating space out there, breaking tackles, and Peoria High really clicking the way we were expecting them to click in a game like this.
They certainly are, looking like the Big 12 tournament's top seed. Officials talking things over with Scott Godfrey right now, but the touchdown will stand. Peoria will go for 2. And the 2-point conversion coming up in is Washington for the 2. Want to double check and make sure that was Washington, and it is. Malachi Washington has only come in for the 2-point conversions for Peoria tonight, and he makes a big play there. Didn't have a lot of resistance. And it is a 22-point game, the largest lead for Peoria tonight. John, now we get into a situation where Bloomington, as you mentioned a moment ago, has the clock working against them. They've got a Peoria defense that has really gelled in this second half. It's going to be tough for Scott Godfrey, Ben Wellman, Burns, and Haggerty to march it down the field if they can recover the kickoff.
Yeah, that's where you start, Joey. Can they recover the kickoff? Peoria High looking to get one back here, but Bloomington's in a bit of a hole. See if they can dig themselves out of it and get back into this game. It's a tall task.
It is a tall task. Peoria entered this one 3-0 officially, 2-1 in practice, but big wins in the Big 12 Conference against Peoria, Notre Dame, and Richwoods. That PND score 62-49, and that Richwoods score 70-28. Richwoods was able to hang with them and kind of match that energy, but especially in that Richwoods game, you see that Peoria will not let up. Bloomington has played a couple of close ones. Loss in week 1 at Quincy Notre Dame, 2013 in overtime. Beat Normal Community 12-6 last week. This is sent in a little bit longer. And wisely, Barger watches it sail out of bounds.
See what they can do on this possession.
John, do you run some clock down? Do you go up the field slowly and methodically? Or do you find yourself thinking, we need that spark, we need that big play right out of the gun?
I think that's what they're thinking. I mean, anytime you're down this big to Peoria High, you know that if Peoria High gets that ball back, that they can continue to run it up, as they've done to teams this season. I think they want to try to ease the pain a little bit, Joey, and try to get something going on this drive.
In the backfield is Ian Haggerty alongside the quarterback Wellman. Man in motion is Jenkins. Wellman dropping back. Wellman looking down the field. That was in the direction of Caden Smith. Flag in the backfield. I think maybe he was looking for holding down the field with Smith. Let's see what the flag in the backfield is.
Yeah, I think Smith thought there was a hold there, signaling to the ref, but
well, it is holding, but it's against Bloomington at the offensive line. Interesting play there. That was Smith tangling up and admittedly didn't catch who the cornerback was, but nevertheless, another holding call backs Bloomington up a ways.
In that same type of position that we've seen him in, Joey, back there on that last drive. Not where you want to be against Peoria High.
No, and it just multiplies. Makes it a lot harder for Bloomington as Wellman's going to air one out deep, little space, but it's thrown to the benches.
You can see Joey, too. I don't know if that offensive line might just be getting worn down a little bit, getting a little tired, a little bit of lackadaisical on some of their blocks, or Peoria High's just really bringing the pressure, but you can see how quick they're getting to Wellman, which didn't pose much of a threat earlier in the first half. Wellman kind of doing whatever he could back there and creating his own space, but now it seems like Peoria High is just back there at will.
And it's easy to sound overly critical of all those holding calls, and maybe you think lack of discipline, but sometimes that's a necessity. You need to toss that hold in to protect your quarterback. Thrown out to the flat, caught by Haggerty. Haggerty gains a couple. And that's kind of what I was referring to when I said it multiplies. You get tired, that defensive line starts to have that edge. You got to grab some jersey. It gets easier to take that easy way out.
Another tough spot here for Bloomington. Joey, and I think ultimately you see him try to air one out again. Kind of all you can do.
Not a whole lot in the playbook for 3rd and 23, right?
Certainly isn't. But I think Peoria High's ultimately got him right where they want him on the defensive end.
Hear the Peoria crowd behind us. They love it. 3rd down and 23. Wellman going to send his receivers deep. Has a man over the middle. It's dropped. And that was intended for Caden Smith. Credit to the Peoria secondary. In on that one was Hazlitt, in addition to Cedric Beckham in to break that one up. Rayshawn Buckner in the area as well, over the middle. Bloomington will punt, and John, you could maybe consider this 4th down territory, but on the 23-yard line, that's giving Peoria a pretty easy path.
Yeah, it is.
Wellman will send it away. This time it goes to Hazlitt. Hazlitt will field it. He's lit up at the 45-yard line. Held onto it, and that's where Peoria will start the drive. Maybe he got it to the 44, and he did.
Really nice hit there by Haggerty.
Again, Haggerty has made big plays on both sides of the ball this evening. And in talking with Peoria before this one, John, one thing they said about Bloomington as they scouted out the Purple Raiders this season is that no matter, when they watch film, they can't tell what the score is. It's a Purple Raiders team that will play hard until the final whistle. It's a good quality to have, especially in a game that isn't quite over yet, only a 3-score game.
Certainly is.
This time it's a keeper for Beckham. And Bloomington answers the call.
Haven't seen a whole lot saw a lot more of Beckham first half. Tries to get his own QB keeper on that one. Stopped a little short.
He opened the scoring with a big touchdown run. Crossed midfield to do so. Since then has largely facilitated, but he's in the backfield alone right now. Wide receivers in tight. He's going to look out to the flat. One-handed catch. Hazlitt, as a flag flies, has some space up the sideline. We'll see what the flag is. But flag pending. Hazlitt with a nice gain, although that one is likely to come back. I believe they will likely call a hold there against Peoria as Hazlitt rounded the corner. Hazlitt, if you are just joining us, the punt returner and a kick returner for Peoria. And that will be a holding call against the Lions.
Kind of that 1-2 punch, Joey, that we expected we'd see with Hazlitt and Clark. Just so quick, getting to the outside. I've seen that one come back, but ultimately another really nice run there from the dynamic duo in Peoria High's backfield.
His nice gain wiped out, sets up 2nd down and 16. See if Bloomington can build on that momentum. Beckham dropping back to pass. Skirts away from trouble. Couple of flags come in. Got back to the original line of scrimmage. And John, the flags have really been flying in this third quarter.
They have. In a game where Peoria High's got that up-tempo offense, they like to run the no-huddle, these flags have certainly slowed it down a little bit.
They really have. Peoria's offense a little disjointed here after the first flag on the Hazlitt run. And then a solid little gain from Beckham wiped out. It will remain second down, and it remains a big opportunity for the defense. Well, it's second down and 23. Beckham rolling and looking, pressure coming in, pressure getting to him on the edge, and he is brought down. Dietrich Pollard for Peoria got in his way. I don't think he would have had a lot more there, John, but having Pollard just in front of him was a detriment. And it sets up a big third down. Do you think Peoria approaches this as four-down territory?
I would think. On the ground a lot, Joey. See if they elect to get one in the air. I haven't went to Deion Hogan too much tonight.
No, they haven't. We've not called his name at all. Deion Hogan, as Beckham drops back, floated into the backfield, bobbled and caught. What a play from Hazlitt. Hazlitt ruled down. Did he not catch it?
I think the ball bounced.
May have bounced on his way. He thought he had something. The fans behind us saw the same. In any case, that is wiped out. Stops the clock for fourth down and 16. Certainly was a lot of motion there. And see what Peoria elects to do. They'll go for it, and they're going to show a different look here. Lining up at receiver is Beckham. It's going to be a wildcat look with Hazlitt in the backfield unless Beckham's over getting the play. But it looks like he's lining up at receiver. He is. Hazlitt in at quarterback. 4th and 16, new look. He's going to quick kick it down the field.
Couldn't work out any better. Ball keeps rolling.
It's a great bounce, and it's down inside the 20-yard line, well inside the 20-yard line. Journal Star's Dave Aminian had a nice look at it as it's down right at the 10-yard line. Looks like Cleve's standing down there at the
20-yard line?
Yeah, 20-yard, yeah, right around there.
Right next to Journal Star photographer Matt Dayoff.
Dynamic duo.
Seen Kurt Pegler here earlier and Jim Matson.
I saw Kurt Pegler walk out. Didn't see Jim. I did see Jim Matson roaming the sidelines. Yeah, I saw him. 89 yards to drive for Bloomington. First play from scrimmage is a keeper for Wellman. And that ball came loose. Peoria thinks they have it.
I think they do. Sideline certainly thinks so.
Waiting for the call, and they do. Peoria recovers the fumble on the first play of the Purple Raiders drive.
Right there in perfect position to put another one on the board, Joey, and I like to think Peoria High's sitting right where they want to be.
I think they are in a pretty good position right now. I would concur with that. Ahead by now 22 points. Just 19 yards away from pay dirt. Beckham is back in at quarterback. He has Isaiah Fisher in there with him. Fisher with a nice gain. He came in and scored a touchdown earlier, the Lions' second of the evening. And here's that trademark tempo. Beckham, handoff to Fisher. Fisher has momentum.
Just short.
Stopped short of the end zone. Clock winding, and Peoria not overly quick to get back to the line of scrimmage, but they're certainly moving with some tempo. They'll slow it down a little bit here. Beckham with Fisher. Handoff to Fisher. Fisher stays on his feet and gets into the end zone. Touchdown Peoria. Flag comes in late, but the play should stand. And Fisher with his second touchdown of the evening puts the Lions in a really good position. Penalty declined. That came in late. And indeed it will stand. I think that was an excessive celebration call.
Yeah, I believe it was.
On the touchdown. Two flags came in, one of which was accepted. I believe they were both of that same vein. And that makes Peoria's two-point conversion attempt a little bit tricky here. Instead of having to go 2 yards, they will have to go about 20. Beckham dropping back to pass, floating one up to the corner of the end zone. No one in the area, and that falls to the track. At least that gives us a football score again, 42-14.
Yep.
Just a couple of seconds left in the third quarter of play. So, John, the third quarter has been all Peoria so far, and we'll take this quick break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. Redefine your skills, inspire change, and make a difference with a career in the U.S. Army. Join us and be a part of something bigger than yourself. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVKQ to go Army. The United States Army, proud partner of Clutch Sports Media. Glad to have them on board tonight. And John, as I was saying, the third quarter I don't think could have gone any better for Peoria.
No, it certainly couldn't. A couple big explosive offensive touchdowns, then you get a turnover forced by the defense. Going very high is doing everything right now, looking like that top seed, and Bloomington's in a big hole here, and it's going to be really tough to not only dig themselves out, but to make this game respectable.
We will need to see more of that effort as we play the last 12 minutes and change. Line drive kick. It's going to be a chance for Trey Baugh to return this one. Baugh caught it in motion, still on his feet. A great effort from Trey Baugh as he got it to about the 35-yard line. Trey Baugh, name we've called a couple of times this evening, 5'11" senior. Sets the Purple Raiders up with a chance to run likely one more play before the third quarter expires.
Nice return there from Baugh. Had a defender hanging on him still. Running strong.
Moving the pile with him. 8.5 seconds for Bloomington in the third quarter. Wellman all alone. No, pardon me. He had a man in the backfield with him, and that's a good handoff and a nice gain for Haggerty. And that's how the third quarter will end. 42-14 our score. And this one looks good for Peoria.
Certainly does. And Bloomington, a nice return by Baugh. Really good run by Haggerty. See what they can do here on this drive.
Entering the fourth quarter, we'll take this time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. With more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits to help you along the way, the U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station, 309-689-0071, or text AVKQ to go Army. United States Army, glad to have them on board tonight. Remind you that this is the Big 12 tournament. The winner plays Normal West next Friday. Looks like Peoria is in a good spot right now to face Normal West next Friday. Normal West beat Bloomington 30-14 in week 2. But still 12 minutes to play. See if Bloomington can force a rematch. Bloomington starting off the third quarter with a handoff to Marcus Griffin. And Marcus Griffin with an inspired run. Ball came out, but he was out of bounds.
3 really good runs, though.
Yeah.
Especially that one to start the fourth quarter. I like to think they like that offensive burst that they're getting.
Yeah, and if Bloomington can punch one in quick, You know, it feels like a basketball game, right? Kind of playing the comeback game. But if they can make it a 3-score game and maybe force a quick turnover or a good defensive stand, this game's not over yet. Purple Raiders certainly agree. Another handoff there to Haggerty. Gains a couple, but then it goes back to
stopping that Peoria High.
Stopping that Peoria High offense, exactly. And it feels like one of those situations where you can say what Bloomington needs to do right, but it's what does Peoria have to start doing wrong.
And right now, ultimately, I mean, it seems like, what do you do to stop Peoria High? And Eddie Clark and Beckham, Hazlitt, really haven't had an answer in this second half.
Man in motion, it is a handoff to Marcus Griffin. And Marcus Griffin, for the second time this quarter, John, has had one of those plays drawn up for him, the old end around to the near side, or the far side, I guess, relative to our camera. Didn't quite make it happen as well that time as he did a couple of minutes ago. Or just over a minute ago of game time. And we'll have a quick timeout called by Peoria. No, pardon me, that was an official's timeout. Nope, it was a timeout. A substitution, I'm sorry. I just found myself a little out of sorts there. Peoria will make a substitution. Dietrich Pollard is in. Aisha Robertson in as well. 3rd down and 6. Likely 4-down territory for Bloomington, threatening on the Peoria side of the field. Dropping back, floated over the line, caught again by Griffin. But well short of the chains, and that'll set up 4th down.
So even with the nice couple runs that they had, ultimately tough to get that 1st down here on this drive. What do you do, Joe? You go for it in this type of game?
I think you have to, right? And you're at the 40-yard line. You know, you've only got 40 yards ahead of you. I think you've got to try something. This is where everything starts to work against you, though, for Bloomington. Because you've only scored twice, and you need to find 4 more scores and a couple of more stops in now under 10 minutes of game time. It's got to start right here. Wellman looking down the field, and that is dropped by Beasley. I believe he got a hand on it, but that was a tough play to make. Buckner was right on him.
Joey, throughout this game, we've almost seen Wellman connect with Beasley 3 times, each time just short. Looked like he had him there as well, just couldn't corral it.
That was Dietrich Pollard in on the coverage, not Buckner. Buckner was ranging over the middle of the field. And indeed, good coverage from Peoria. Peoria has played a complete game all evening long. If you're just joining us, Peoria jumped out to a 2-score lead early. Bloomington clawed back into it, tied it up. Since then, a 28-0 run for the Lions. Lions keeping their foot on the gas pedal here, but this is dropped by Isaiah Hazlitt. Hazlitt out in the flat, could not make anything happen. John, I want to bring this up too. What a beautiful evening it is at Peoria Stadium tonight. It is a beautiful spring evening. I know we're used to playing high school football in the fall, but just as I look around, a good crowd on tap here. Really feels like a great football atmosphere. We'll have a flag and a false start. Good to look around.
Certainly does, and you know, you've been playing football in April. Definitely gives you that August, feel. It feels like a fall night. And yeah, like you said, great atmosphere. It feels nice having some hometown fans in the stands cheering on their team, and definitely feel that energy.
We certainly do. We are situated right at about the 50-yard line. A little concrete platform that would normally be used by a band leader. So we have the fans right behind us. They are buzzing. It's a lot of fun. Here's Beckham. Beckham looking. He's going to make a play with his arm, and that was thrown right at Marcus Griffin, cornerback for Bloomington. So it's up 3rd down and 15. Peoria Stadium, a historic venue right off War Memorial Drive in Peoria, Illinois, opened in 1895. the year after Bloomington and Peoria met for the first time. And on third down, Beckham trying to make a play for the 2021 Lions. Got a couple, not enough for the first down. Dave Reynolds wrote a piece for the Peoria Journal-Star back in September detailing kind of the history of Peoria Stadium. Opened in 1895 as a 1-mile oval for horse racing. Later became a home for automobile racing and dog racing. Dedicated in 1927, I believe, as the football stadium that it's currently used as. Pass over the middle and caught by Hazlitt. Hazlitt still on his feet as he gets it inside the red zone. And there's that connection, Beckham to Hazlitt. Both have been integral parts of the Lions' offense tonight. And a big play there that you figure all but does it for Bloomington.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Peoria High, early on they showed that they could hang with these guys. They're tough, but ultimately still being down 42-14, Joey, Bloomington still giving it their all. Just really tough tonight to stop Hazlitt and Eddie Clark and Beckham, what he's done through the air and on the ground. Peoria High just playing, like you said, a complete game.
Well, and it goes back, John, to what we talked about this a lot during basketball season. And we've talked about it a little bit during football season. With all the COVID craziness going on right now, there are still 2 more weeks of the high school football season left. You play every down like it's your last because, as we've seen around the area, even in the last week, COVID-19 can strike, could wipe out next week's game, the week after, and as we approach the end of football season, you don't get that many games to start with. A COVID outbreak of some kind could end your season. So every time you're out there, and especially as we creep towards the end of the season, every down takes on that larger kind of importance.
Yeah, it certainly does, and kind of gives you that feeling, playing, giving it your all every game, because you never know if that's going to be your last game of the season. And we look to the middle line, I see Metamora had their next 2 games postponed.
Player down for Bloomington real quick, and that player is Caden Smith. Perhaps a cramp, don't want to speculate, but he's attended to out on the field. And yeah, Metamora and Pekin were to play this week. Now unable to, or pardon me, that was Metamora and Morton. Metamora and Pekin would be next week. Pekin wants an opponent for next week. We'll see what they can cobble together. But nevertheless, Metamora is going to have a tough time getting ready for week 6 against Washington. That's a stout Panthers team.
And that's tough to be off those 2 games and then go into that game, not having had those 2 weeks.
Certainly is. We'll take a look at a final score from around the area. Dunlap over Richwoods, 48-0. Dunlap, another Middle Illini team. Richwoods, of course, lost last week to Peoria, 70-28. As Larry Larson, our producer, tries to track down some scores from around the area tonight. Quincy Notre Dame 19, Peoria Notre Dame 14. After 3 quarters, that game is not final. Now in at quarterback for Peoria. How about that? Marcus Alexander Neely throwing a touchdown pass on his first play of the game.
And that's a sophomore right there. Say he takes place of Darius Beckham after he graduates. It's a nice backup quarterback you got there.
Rayshawn Buckner, the touchdown reception. And just as quickly as we can say his name, it's Marcus Alexander Neely with a beautiful throw right over the line. Line man, I should say. And he will stay in to attempt the 2-point conversion.
We were talking about this earlier in the broadcast. No hurt feelings here. Peoria High's not going to take their foot off the gas.
They won't. They play an unapologetic brand of football. They get in for the 2-point conversion. And that was a carry from DJ King, I believe, who punched it in. I want to make sure I can get that right. I believe it was. Pardon me, that was not DJ King. We don't have a number 23 on our roster. But in any case, Peoria is in for the 2-point conversion. They get to 50 to 14, our score. And John, it goes back to heart, hustle, and muscle. If you're Bloomington, that's all you can show in the last 7-16. I do say, though, that the score has gone the way of Peoria. I think it might be a little higher than it certainly was in the first half. You know, Bloomington hung around. I think the score might be a little misleading, but nevertheless, it has been all Lions in the second half here at Peoria Stadium.
Yeah, and you know, going back to Peoria High in past seasons, they've played some hard-fought games and then ultimately pulled away in the second half. And you know, Joey, they even playing that close first half, that first quarter, they didn't really look fazed by it. And see, they're steamrolling here in this fourth quarter.
Penalty came in after the touchdown. So a short field here for Bloomington. If they can stay on this one, it's sent in a little deeper than normal by Peoria. And a little trouble fielding the kick. Bloomington's going to get back up on that one. Flag comes in there on the reception, as Trey Baugh was able to center himself up and get that one. And that should be a personal foul call coming in at the very end of the play. Trying to track down a score from around the area. Washington over Pekin 21-6.
Is that a final?
That is fine. I believe that is final. I'd have to double check. Wanted to make sure I got back to the action in front of me, but I do believe that is the final score, and I bring that up because, of course, we mentioned Pekin a moment ago. Looking for a game next week. Pass tipped over the middle, nearly an interception. And the area was Nasha Robertson.
Lost his shoe on that one.
He did. Gave his all. Falls to the turf, incomplete. One more touchdown would put Bloomington in a situation. One more Peoria touchdown, I should say, would put Bloomington in a situation where the clock would run. For now, stops on the incompletion at 7 minutes and 6 seconds. And a handoff up the middle. Solid gain that time from Walker Burns. Burns, as we mentioned earlier, entered this one with just shy of 200 rushing yards on the season. Entering today, had caught Bloomington's only rushing touchdown, or passing touchdown, that would be.
Bloomington still giving it their all, like you said, trying to get something going.
Another handoff there to Burns. And this is where, you know, you see your personnel, you understand kind of where you're at entering next week. Bloomington's season does not end, even though it's the Big 12 tournament. They'll have 2 more games left. So you want to look good and stay sharp. Peoria likely will face Normal West next week if they can hold on and finish this one out. Peoria hosted its senior night before this one as Bloomington picks up a nice gain. That was a keeper from Wellman.
I think we mentioned that too earlier in the broadcast, Joey, before the game. Is Bloomington could be down a large margin or up a large margin. They're still going to play, you know, their hardest, and I think we're still seeing that right here. They're not going to just lay down. And
yeah, that really manifests itself in the offenses and defense and the systems we see still out there. Neither team coming in and kneeling on the ball by any means. Still running plays that we would have seen early in the game, and here's a little space for Bloomington. Marcus Griffin on the carry. Griffin trots back to the huddle. He has had a nice second half, especially on the end-around type runs. A lot of happy fans at Peoria Stadium this evening, just listening to them behind us. It's a good atmosphere.
It is.
Bloomington has brought a nice contingent out to the stadium tonight. They don't look like they're having quite as much fun. Here is Griffin again. Griffin has some space. That might get the crowd into it as he gets towards the goal line. Just a little bit short.
I'd like to find that end zone in the second half here.
Griffin has had a lot. I mean, he is such a great east-west runner. You know, a lot of runners go north-south. Some go east-west. They kind of get that lateral movement going. Griffin certainly of that right-left mentality.
Only a sophomore, too.
Yeah, great things in store for him. First down and goal now from the 5. He's in motion again. Wellman faked the handoff. 3 Lions get in there on the stop. Among them was B.J. Kruger. It's up second down and 6. Maybe you can hear behind us, maybe you can't. Here comes the boom playing. And, John, I think the boom has already arrived.
Yep.
Here at Peoria. The Lions are looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, they laid down the boom a long time ago.
Bloomington with a chance to do that here. Second down and 6. It's Griffin again. Griffin trying to get into the end zone. Second effort, not quite enough.
And how about that Peoria High defense still standing strong here on the goal line? Not giving Bloomington an inch.
They aren't, and Bloomington found themselves in this situation really early in the game. Forced a goal-to-go situation early. A couple of penalties took them out of that situation. This time it's the Peoria defense that's kept them away from the end zone. Third down and 6. And here's another end around for Griffin. Griffin is in. Touchdown Bloomington. Marcus Griffin, the sophomore, with a big touchdown run. And John, that was a gritty sequence for Griffin, especially on that last play. Dealt with a couple of Lions right on the goal line, was able to power through them and find pay dirt. And the Purple Raiders not giving up. On to attempt the extra point as Cameron Anderson had a field goal blocked earlier, but has made every extra point. He's come on to attempt now, 3 for 3 in that category tonight. John, what do you think the Lions have in store for this last 3:18?
Run some of their backups here, just try to get something going for the younger guys and ultimately see if they can maybe put one more score on the board. Wouldn't be surprised, but
I wouldn't either, especially after the throw we saw from the backup quarterback, Marcus Alexander Neely, a couple of minutes ago on his first attempt of the game, no less. Lions kick unit is on, I'll say it again, a beautiful night for football here in Peoria. Peoria Stadium, we're just off Farmington Road. Not Farmington Road, we're just off War Memorial. What am I talking about?
You said War Memorial earlier.
I did say War Memorial.
You got your
yeah. Larry knows why I made that mistake. Yeah. Well, and we are right across the street from Cruisen's.
You got your Cruisen's
Peoria,
mixed up.
Peoria establishment. As you get a look at it there, Cruisen's, and so we'll let you in on a little inside baseball. You know, Larry, John, Matt, Francis, everyone involved with Clutch Sports Media except you goes to Bradley. Cruisen's right down Farmington Road, just near Bradley's campus. A popular destination, maybe not so much for me, but for a lot of Bradley students. We call that adult Cruisen's. Probably attracts a little bit of a different clientele. Bloomington will try an onside kick, and that is recovered at the 45-yard line. But Peoria Stadium, a great venue for tonight's game. You know, good crowd on hand, as we mentioned a couple of times. even as a couple of fans start to look towards the exits with this one likely in hand, it's still a good jovial atmosphere. The Lions will improve to 4-0 in all likelihood when this one concludes. 3-1, or 2-1, it would be 3-1 in practice, but officially, as we've talked about tonight, 4-0 because the East St. Louis loss was an exhibition, and what they got credit for was the Manual win. Manual, of course, had to forfeit in week 2 because of COVID-19 protocols. Peoria won't complain about a 2-0 win in the books instead of a 69-19 loss, I don't think.
No.
Second unit for Peoria is on, and that is out to the flat. Quincy Notre Dame has defeated Peoria Notre Dame 19-14. That score is final. Credit to Larry Larson, our producer, making us aware of that, our entire crew. Me, you, Larry, Matt Harrington, John Michael, Francisco Alonso. As we wind towards the finish line of a Peoria victory over Bloomington. All but over here, dropping back to pass is Alexander Neely. He's looking deep, and that pass just over the head of Trent Wilkins.
Neely definitely likes to air it out.
Jacob Sanchez was in pursuit there, and Neely with a strong throw. Sets up 4th down. Flag did come in around the line of scrimmage on that one. And we'll await the call. That goes against Peoria, and it is declined. See if Peoria elects to punt it here on 4th and 7. Earlier they showed a little bit of a wrinkle offensively. They brought in Isaiah Hazlitt under center for a Wildcat-looking formation, but then a quick kick down the field. Set up a long field for Bloomington. Looks like they'll go for it here. Alexander Neely dropping back, and that's intercepted over the middle. Intercepted by Weltha. Jack Weltha down the sideline. Inside the 20, inside the 10, pick 6. Purple Raiders touchdown. Big play.
You talked about getting the Bloomington crowd involved. That one will definitely get them on their feet. Really nice return there from Weltha.
Jack Weltha stepping up, the 6'2 junior. We've called his name a little bit. Has not touched the ball tonight, but he's made some big blocks, some big plays. First turnover of the game for the Lions. They came close a couple of times in the first half. Marcus Alexander Neely throws the pick. That's the first pass that Bloomington has intercepted all season. And it's a big one. Makes it a 3-score game, extra point pending. And this will be a fake. Rolling out. Bloomington's going to try it. It's Wellman. Wellman looking for the end zone on the fake field goal. He's in.
Got it.
Not a touchdown, pardon me, but a 2-point conversion. So close, but so close it was for Wellman, who gets in, makes it a 20-point game. Or no, pardon me, a 21-point game. Goodness me, I'm all over the place tonight, right? But a 21-point game is where it finally sorts out at. And, John, if Bloomington could tack on an onside kick, they've got 3 timeouts. They've saved them all.
You know, we've seen crazier things.
It's 2021, isn't it? All but conventional season. And it's where, the fact that we're even getting into that is a testament to how hard Bloomington's played tonight. They are not giving up. It's a well-coached team. Scott Godfrey has a great thing going. Final score from around the area, Canton over Limestone, 28-22. Spirited effort from the Rockets there, but the Little Giants now 3-1 in the Middle Illini this season. That one loss coming to Pekin last week, a game you saw on ClutchSportsIL.com. Be sure, by the way, to follow Clutch Sports Media on all of our properties. On Twitter at ClutchSportsIL, Clutch Sports Media on Instagram, Clutch Sports Media on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to hit the subscribe button or like the video. Onside kick for Bloomington. will be recovered by Peoria.
Close, took a bounce.
It was close. That's how you want to draw up an onside kick. They made Bloomington, or pardon me, Peoria work for every ounce of it. John, do you maybe take a little bit off here and just get to the finish line?
I think you might just keep the ball on the ground and run. I'm sure Tim Thornton doesn't want to afford to have his backup throw another interception or any costly play that's going to get Bloomington back in the game.
Pick six was costly last time out. Alexander Neely the snap. He's rolling out. Pass out to the flat, and that was bobbled. Nearly troubled Trenton Wilkins. I don't want to say he almost put that in the hands of the defense because I don't think there was a Purple Raider really in the vicinity, but that was nearly trouble.
That's one thing you like to see out of Bloomington, being down 50-29. Still battling, giving themselves a chance like they're not out of it, but you like to see those guys play till that final horn there.
Yeah, they've given themselves an outside chance. Clock stops on the incompletion. But again, you figure Peoria in the driver's seat. We'll see if they elect to pass again. It'll be a speed option type play. And lit up was Washington. Malachi Washington, who previously has really only been a factor on 2-point conversion attempts. Gets a play from scrimmage that time and is brought down in the backfield. There's Dave Aminian. John Michael tracked him down. Cleveland the Eve is on the scene. How about that?
Ice time Cleve.
Ice time Cleve, that's right. Think he's going to go back and watch? We'll have to tell him he was on. Then maybe he will. But I tell you what, if you're out here writing a story and maybe you missed a play or something, maybe you go back and cross-reference it later on. So there's Dave Aminian on the scene. And you mentioned Kurt Pegler, Jim Madsen were here earlier.
Couple Peoria icons.
That's right. Jim Madsen, a couple of weeks ago now, maybe it was last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, was saying how much he likes being here at Peoria Stadium. An old jewel. I don't know if that's what he called it, but something to that effect. Over the middle and intercepted again. No pick six that time.
Is that Welta?
It may be. We'll see when he gets up. Just thrown right at him.
How about it?
It is his second interception.
Got to feel good about that in the box score.
His stats are looking better and better the more we play. 21-point game as Bloomington takes over.
Joey, if you get a quick score, like you said, you could get an onside kick. I mean, not that they're going to come back and win, but just make it look, a little bit better on paper.
Yeah, even if you just get the one score back, you're only looking at going down by 2. But this is exactly, and I'll hold that thought as Wellman is going to keep it himself. What a play. He's got some space in front of him. Ben Wellman to the corner. He's going to win not quite win the race. I spoke a little too soon. He's inside the 5.
But how about that
He's
play?
at the 1, so he got really close.
How about it?
Down to the 1 and stops the clock. He got out of bounds.
Ben Wellman, how good has he been this game? And I'm curious, we don't have stats, but how many rushing yards he has?
I would be curious to, and I hope we get those statistics afterwards. Here's Wellman again over the pile and into the end zone. Ben Wellman, touchdown, Purple Raiders. John Camosa, we've got 65 seconds left to play, a 2-score game. Bloomington has all 3 of its timeouts. Every now and then, seems like during football season, you're mindlessly perusing through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and you see one of these. Team erases 3-4 score deficit in under 2 minutes or a minute or what have you. Not saying it's going to happen. Wellman's going to fake it again here. He's going to look to throw it this time, throwing towards the end zone and dropped.
Almost caught it.
Oh, so close. But instead, the two-point conversion falls short. 15 points is where it stands at now. Not saying, though, that it's going to happen, but if they could tack on an onside kick right here, quick score.
Hey, you never know. Never know. I mean, we didn't expect them to come back this much, and here they are.
Yeah, they're right in it. And if they were able to pull off some crazy scenario, Jack Weltha is going to have his name on a billboard near the high school, right? What a second half. That's the best I could come up with. Those things don't run cheap. We've looked.
Yeah, he's definitely been a force there in the fourth quarter. Really reading that pass well. Ben Wellman, can't talk enough about him tonight, how he's really kept Bloomington right in this game. Looked out of it completely and then stormed it back.
It's Wellman on to attempt the onside kick. So he was going to win the battle. Sent in, nearly bobbled. That may well do it. Nice job of staying with it, Kenny Rutherford. First time we've said his name tonight. Recovers the onside attempt. And now it gets a lot harder for Bloomington.
I think this one's kind of all but wrapped up, but hard-fought game by Bloomington. Peoria High ultimately really showed their dominance, and then their backups kind of gave way a little bit to Bloomington to get back in this game.
I know Bloomington has all 3 of its timeouts left, but if you're Tim Thornton, do you maybe consider coming out and kneeling it, just get it over with at this point?
Yeah, I would think so. Maybe elect to run.
It's going to be a handoff up the middle, and there's a quick stop. Washington on the carry. And Bloomington will use the first of its 3 timeouts. That took a couple of seconds off the clock. We're under a minute to play. And we will take this time here late in the action to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by the United States Army. With more than 150 career paths to explore, plus comprehensive benefits to help you along the way, the U.S. Army has what it takes. To find out more, call the Peoria Army Recruiting Station at 309-689-0071 or text AVK. I'm going to say that from the start. Text AVKQ to GO Army. That's AVKQ to GO Army. You see that on your screen. Really happy to have the United States Army on board tonight.
Definitely.
As Peoria looks to put a bow on this one, up by 15, up the middle. Solid gain, good effort from Washington. And another timeout from Bloomington. 1 left for Scott Godfrey. So if they can come up with a stop here, that's got to be their last hope. First down would all but end it. I'm saying, though, if they could get the ball back one more time, and then they'd have the opportunity, if they scored and tacked on an onside kick, I don't know. See how it all plays out.
All right, Peoria High is dancing on the sidelines, Joey, so I think they have it all but wrapped up, and they're enjoying it.
They've got to hope that's not an image taken before an unfortunate event. 48 seconds to go. First down would probably end it. Here's Washington trying to get to the 45-yard line. He's a little bit short. Bloomington takes a timeout. So if they can come up with one more stop, and at this point, I've bought in. I've convinced myself that this is something Bloomington could make happen. But one more stop, they'd have the ball back with probably 34 seconds, depending on how long the play takes.
You could think of all the scenarios, You get a strip here, Joey, say you run it back. You recover the onside. You air it out.
It's fun to think about.
Yeah. But then ultimately say, Bloomington did that. Peoria High starters got some of their sneakers off, some of their shoulder pads.
Yeah. Yeah, if they force an extra frame or something to that effect, could be trouble. 4th down and 1 before we get to that point. Up the middle, Washington is stopped. He's stopped well short of the sticks. That runs about 6 seconds off the clock, 5-6 seconds.
There you go, Joey, your scenario.
This game's not over yet. Peoria's defense comes on again. Yeah, David Manning would have one heck of a story to write.
Oh, yeah.
He's right in there at this point. He's among a gaggle of Peoria High players. Last chance for Bloomington. Wellman. Shotgun snap, dropping back, looking long, has a man. It is bobbled and dropped.
Would have been a nice catch.
Well, I think nice would be an understatement. Would have stopped the clock, too, on the 1st down. And Bloomington has showed its hand. We know how they're going to approach that. That was Marcus Griffin on the target. So Wellman coming out to do it again. Bloomington has to go. Shotgun snap, airing it out long again. Little contact there, no flag. And that'll set up 3rd down and 10. And John, I'd ask what Bloomington's going to try to do here, but I think they've showed it the last 2 times. They've got to try and spark something down the field.
I think they might air it out again. Seems like that's the pattern.
21 and 9/10 of a second left. Wellman looking over the middle this time, bobbled and hauled in. That'll stop the clock quickly for the 1st down. Jacob Sanchez, the reception.
Got to respect the fight they're putting up.
They'll get the chain set up. A little bit of opportunity. Bloomington has put up an incredible fight. Valiant comeback effort either way. Clock winds. And we'll have a timeout called by Peoria. Tim Thornton wants to talk things over with his defense. And this conversation, John, I would imagine has to go something along the lines of shore everything up. They're going to look for the deep ball. Well, I don't know what, strategically. Who knows what's going on, but I think it's got to go something along the lines of shore everything up. Don't give them anything easy.
Yeah. I don't think they want to see a Bloomington tack another one on here. Probably just saying get their defensive set and get a stop and let's get out of here with a win.
Going into the prevent defense, the 37-yard line perhaps. Do you think Bloomington tries one to the end zone, or do you think they go crossers over the middle, quick hitter?
It's hard to say.
37 yards to go. I mean, it's still asking a little bit after the catch. Maybe you go to a speedy option. Marcus Griffin has had a lot of east-west success tonight. Walker Burns. Ian Haggerty are 2 running backs. Adam Beasley got a lot of targets early. Couldn't ever quite haul in the big one. See how it all plays out. Reached a point where there are fewer seconds than points in between our 2 teams tonight. 13 to go, 15 the gap. Here's Wellman, low snap, looking to the corner, and that is caught out of bounds.
Wow.
It's going to stop the clock quickly here with 4.5 seconds left. John, I think the time, there's just not quite enough time left. Although a lot of clock ran off the time, a lot of time ran off the clock there.
But how about a battle, though? I mean, say Bloomington gets a touchdown here and just going down with a potentially 50-42 loss.
Yeah.
It's a really hard-fought 3rd and 4th quarter.
Peoria owned the 3rd quarter, early part of the 4th quarter. Last 5 minutes or so have been all Bloomington. Here we go. Wellman could be the last play of the game. Dropping back, looking quick to the end zone. Bobbled and intercepted. Peoria seals it as the clock hits zeros. 50-35, your final score. Peoria holds on. A valiant effort from Bloomington might overshadow what a complete game it was for Peoria. And the Lions advance to face Normal West next Friday.
All around, really hard-fought game by Peoria High offensively, defensively, and Bloomington just give it their all, being in a 42-14 hole, but still fighting and going out with a respectable loss.
"15 points, the final margin of victory for Peoria, but a respectable victory indeed for the Lions, and a respectable loss is what I was looking for Bloomington. It's that fight, it's that trademark, not going to give up mentality. And how about Jack Welfa? 2 late interceptions that put Bloomington back on the map. They didn't have a lot of momentum at all before the pick 6 or before that second interception. He fell right down to the turf after he caught it, but nevertheless got the ball back. But in the end, your final takeaways and your final key players for Peoria.
Eddie Clark definitely stood out for Peoria High tonight. Really liked Isaiah Haslett. Darius Beckham was great behind center, and you know, can't say enough about Bloomington's quarterback, and Ben Wellman really did it all today. His kick, throwing the ball, run the ball, and all-around player. And Jack Welton in that fourth quarter, a lot of guys stepped up tonight.
They certainly did, and that is where we will leave it for you tonight. 50-37, our final score. Peoria holds on. Great game. It was a great first half. Third quarter slipped a little bit, but the fourth quarter had plenty of entertainment, and that is all from Peoria Stadium. So for our whole crew, Larry Larson, Matt Harrington, John Michael, and Francisco Alonso, my broadcast partner John Camosa, I'm Joey Wright. This has been a presentation of Clutch Sports Media. Your final score, Peoria 50, Bloomington 35. Thank you for watching.